Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Authentic Podcast with Justin Doulard. And thank you for tuning in to another episode. It's time!
Not a celebrity by no stretch of the imagination.
Kind of.
Oh, you stopped that. I know a few people.
So yeah, I will have people submit questions sometimes especially if they know who it might be, and I get some good ones on there, and it kind of creates engagement too. Like if I put an episode out and I'm like, hey, listen to this, and they're like, I don't know what's on it, but if I say, Eric, I asked this guy your question about whatever that may be. You're
okay.
Like, I'm gonna listen for the answer.
Gotcha. Hey, you guys who's already on here, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll answer them.
But that is my only rule. You can say whatever you want, but I'm not going to edit it. So
that's perfectly fine. I love it. It's real. It's real raw.
Yeah, that's why I like it. It kind of keeps you on edge. It's not scripted. There's sometimes I have notes. Like if I didn't know you as well, I would probably have notes. But if we're friends and I've known you for a while and you're pretty easy to talk to, and we could probably sit and bullshit for 6 hours. So I didn't feel like there was any notes I needed to take. I kind of have those in my head. But with someone that I don't know as well, I'll kind of have some hit points, but it's not a checklist, and it's not, the conversation usually flows so differently than you plan anyways, if it is organic.
No, I love that. And this is kind of wild. Like, I'm really, first of all, I want to thank you for just asking me. I want to apologize for slow playing the piss out of you.
You should be sorry.
So I am here to apologize.
I think I had to ask you like 7 times.
I think it was 8, but who's counting? So like you did, and ultimately I think that I thought it was just kind of like, wait, you've had some pretty cool guests on the show. Like, why the hell you want to talk to some normie like me? And
normie,
and then no, but it was like, it's an honor. It really is an honor that you have me here, and it's just like, I think the people need to know the truth though. Like, we go back, I met you, like, I knew you were special when I met you. I knew that because I remember like corporate America. Well, I don't know if I need to say it. You said it. Like, I started working at that corporation before you did, right?
Like 6 months before, maybe,
give or take.
Yeah.
And we were in the same MO, rather our district or territory, the same territory. I was, however, export.
Yeah.
And also was a part of the bilingual team. But anyways, I noticed I came across your desk and I saw a book, The 4-Hour Work Week.
I still have that.
I bet you do. And I was like, some bitch reads. And I was like, okay. And then I was the only one in that area who had a raised desk.
Mm-hmm.
You know where I'm going with that.
I do now.
So I had a raised desk, and I just saw all my workmates, all these colleagues of mine, the sedentary lifestyle. They were just like overweight. I had nothing in common with anybody in this department. And just, just like, they just been doing this job for years, and I'm just like, no. Can I request for a raised desk? And the manager allowed it, and so whatever. You come in there, I don't even know how long it was until you did the same.
Super quick.
You were like,
I love a standing desk.
Like, I need a raised desk too. And then you're like the only guy I connected there. I mean, you're like my only contemporary. Everybody else was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just colleagues, workmates.
So like that job, good company, bad job for me, I think. Bad like environment. Like I wouldn't be like, that place is miserable, it's horrible. I would just say, not my cup of tea. and, paid decent, and might have been good experience for your first gig. And maybe like for me, that was my goal for whatever reason. I've always had a job, always worked. And so after college, it was like, I wanted to get something as fast as I could.
Right.
Someone referred me there, and I was like, I didn't even interview anywhere else. And I was like, someone gave me an offer for like a salaried position. Like, this is the goal. So I took it, and I felt like on the job shadow day, I knew, but I just did it anyways for whatever reason.
Yeah, you got to.
I had my own money. I had stuff saved up. I wasn't in any hurry. Didn't have a lot of bills, but it was just the next step, and I wanted to get there as fast as I could.
Right.
So with that being said, great company. I think it has great potential. Just not my job, and maybe not even my company. Maybe not for me. Same way I got there. I knew a couple of people that had worked there from college who were my buddies. Mm-hmm. So a little different than you not having some ties. Mm-hmm. But outside of those guys who were not in our area, obviously you were my guy, right? That's why you're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of it too is those people, like you and I did not like that job. That's why we left eventually. But I think you were appreciative that, your bills were being paid and you had a roof over your head, and you're like, hey, this isn't going to be forever, but I'm thankful I'm here. Or you didn't love the job, but that didn't make you miserable every day, right?
Well,
like it did a lot of people.
The thing about it is that I ended up hating it though.
Sure.
But I did everything I could to like keep it. It was so weird. It was just like, I mean, first of all, like I felt so blessed to have studied. My undergrad was in international business, and my first job out of college, which was with a company from Europe. It was relative. I was like, a lot of people go to school and they study something and they get a job in something completely different. So
Very common.
I was like, that's right. And I was like, wow, I am so blessed. So I got a degree in international business. I'm going to work with this international company. I got on board with that customer service role, and then they got invited into the Spanish team. Okay, cool. Speaking, yo hablo de español. And then they're like, all right, we want to invite you on the export team. I was like, oh, okay. And then before I knew it, I recognized it. I was like, oh shit, I'm a glorified secretary. And then by 2 years out in it, I was just trying to figure out how many barrels can I fit in my mouth.
Yep.
I was losing my mind. And I was like, wait, what was really crazy was like, whoa, I spent God knows how much money on my undergrad, which, I was told that was what I needed to do. And so I went and did it. I'm fully responsible for that. But I was like, okay.
You might be off the hook though now, right?
So listen, you're going to judge me. I don't watch the news.
I don't either.
So I promise. I hear this, but I have not looked into the details. What is that? Can you just right here? Eric's going to learn something new today. What are you talking about? I've heard this already. I've seen it online a little bit, but
I'm an honest man, and I'll tell you, I only know a little bit about it.
What does that look like?
But I don't watch the news either, but the news is on everything now. So you see it. People reshare it on their stories. They post pictures. Like you could look at my Instagram. I don't follow CNN. I don't follow Fox. I don't even follow, I just look at the weather app on my phone. That's my news. But everybody posts and reshares the news. It's everywhere. So I see Cliff Notes.
Gotcha.
But I guess Biden is talking about implementing some student loan debt relief. I guess you can erase a certain amount. I'm sure there's stipulations and it takes time to process. But I mean, I don't know if you're for or against that or not. But if it gets passed and everyone else is going to do it and take advantage of it, I just assume you would too, right?
I mean,
if someone gives you a $10,000 break, what you'd be dumb not to take it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, I am though the mindset of you should hold yourself accountable.
Absolutely.
And I feel like. I always meet people who didn't go to college, and I'm like, wow, well, guess what? Well, you're smarter than me. Like, why? It's like, because, I feel now in hindsight it was a foolish decision, but it wasn't though, because Eric Loya needed to go to college. I needed the development that I got from college, and it wasn't necessarily that what I got in, like, studying and the classes I took. Maybe it was, but I think it was just like the skills that I got, like, socially, the skills that I got while I was in school, because, like, I definitely didn't take advantage of, like, high school. I was just, to say that I was ornery would be an understatement. I think we're going to dive into that here shortly, but I really did take college seriously, and so that I valued it. And no one in my family's ever went to college. I was the first one of my family members to go there. So, like, when I took on that challenge, I was like, all right, I'm all in, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to finish it. And yeah, I'm kind of like, it's 50-50. I'm like, why did I do it? But then I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't have gotten the opportunities that I got afterwards without it. So it's good. It's good and all, but I should have wiped my ass on the first ballot movement when I walked across the stage.
Sure. And then that's a good one. And then you, like you said, maybe you didn't retain a lot from the classroom, or maybe you haven't used it, or maybe you might not, but it was probably a 4-year time filler for you. And by time filler, meaning like you slowed down, learned a lot, met a lot of people, shook hands, learned time management, learned kind of how the professional world works. Because even if you don't have a CPA or you don't go to law school, like, you come across people all the time in a professional setting.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, the college conversation is super hard now, because that's what like our age group grew up on. Was there? It was kind of the push, which still kind of there.
Right.
But the push is like, oh, if you don't go to college, you're gonna flip burgers, right?
Right.
That's what we were kind of told.
Absolutely.
I remember in 7th and 8th grade, I took a class. My memory is not that great either. Like little things come to me when people remind me. But I remember I took a class in 8th grade, an elective called, I think it was like ACT prep or college prep or something. The entire class was focused on passing and scoring a high ACT, which gets you scholarships or get you into a certain school.
Right. I remember that.
I think that can only take you so far. I ended up only getting don't quote me, but like a 22 maybe on the ACT. So just where I needed to be. But
got you.
But yeah, back to that story. It was like ACT prep, but I don't remember ever being offered like wood shop or like HVAC school or plumbing school. And I'm so envious, because I can't do any of that crap now. I'm not handsy at all. And my parents taught me a lot growing up, but they were also like extremely busy people.
Sure.
My dad worked overnights for a long time. My mom was still pursuing her education, which has served her well. But I don't know if I could go back and ditch, half the classes I took and be offered how to use my hands with something, even just for around my house.
Absolutely.
Would trade it every day.
I will say something that I recognized after like graduating, like, and it's funny how I fell into this thing, like this kind of entitlement thing. Like, I wouldn't want to take a job that was, down here in the low, and so, I did corporate America for many years. And after doing that, I remember my last job that I took was at a coffee house. I remember around 2020, I did framing.
I remember reading your posts about that. They're like, "Where's your tools?" And you're like, "I don't have any tools."
And like, you're hanging out with these men, men that build things, and they look at me. They're like, "You speak English?" I'm like, "Yeah." "You grew up here?" "Yeah." You did you go to college?" "Yeah." "What the hell are you doing here?" I'm like, "Why don't you mind your own business?"
Right.
"Am I doing this job just as good as the next guy?" "Yeah." "Well, then there you go. That's all that matters."
Yeah, and I mean, think about it, guys. Why do we all clock in? Like, we're trying to buy food and pay the rent.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's funny. Of course, they were probably confused.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. Like, I totally get it, hombre. But like, I totally get it. But like, sometimes, like,
yeah, go ahead.
No, but sometimes you have to do what you got to do. And I'm gonna quote Jay-Z. Jay-Z said the best thing though, man. you can pay for school, but you can't buy class.
I like it.
And you know, like, yeah, guys, I come from a couple universities. School of Hard Knocks is one of them. It's not necessarily a university, but then I remember in high school, while my peers were applying to, UCO, OSU, I was trying to not go to DOC. That was my first institution of education, to be quite frank with you. The Departments of Corrections, and believe me, I got corrected.
I feel like you could do an open mic night, like a short 3 to 5 minute one with that one. That would be a good start.
Thanks.
Before we dive too deep into it, I wanted to say, I remember when you, it might have been Facebook or Instagram, I can't remember, but you posted about that, like you're doing framing work and some labor, and I think you were just seeing like, the bright side of it, or like,
yeah.
I had said, dude, a lot of times when you're doing like manual labor or working with a small crew, maybe like a 6-man crew, the people were more pleasant. Like you guys are sometimes, not all the time, right? But like you're laughing, you go out to eat together, you're cutting up. If you need something, you could probably call those guys. Like you got a flat, they're going to come get you. You run out of gas. I know we're not big drinkers, but you're like someone I could really drink a beer with. Most of the time, corporate side, people are like running to their cars at 5:00.
Absolutely.
Or you're like, you just exchange emails. I remember when we were working together, and I still do this to this day, and I know it drives my coworkers crazy. And I do have a corporate style job, but I love my job right now, and I love my team. And it's the first time I could say that probably in a long time, or first time professionally. Like I'm just an honest person. Like some people would say, how's work going? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's work. Like, I actually really like what I do right now, and I really like my team. But anyways, if I want to talk to you and I can see you, I'm not going to send you a message on the computer. I'm going to come talk to you. It still drives me crazy. People at work where we were working, I could see people and they would pick up the phone and call me, or they would like send me an email. I get it for some circumstances, but I mean, we're talking 15, 20 yards here. Just come say something.
Right.
I guess that goes back to when you're working with the labor crew. I feel like you get a lot more genuine people. Like they might cuss a little more. They might, not be as PC per se, or, a little on the wild side, but like genuine good people that you're like, all right, I know I could trust this guy and I actually enjoy talking with him. He's not fake. Like he's going to tell me what's on his mind.
Yeah.
Like when I, one of my first jobs, like side money, I guess, when I was 16, was landscaping. And as bad as it sounds, most small landscaping companies are high schoolers or ex-cons. Most of those guys were in and out of jail, or we were high schoolers. So, because it's tough for those guys to get work.
No, I didn't know that. How about you? Yeah, I didn't know that you did that.
Have you ever laid sod?
No.
Really?
Not. Okay, what does that look like? Expand on that.
Sod is grown grass grown, and then they trim it with a big machine.
Is it like carpet?
Yes.
Got it. I've seen it. Never done it though.
I'd like to say it's pretty hard work. It's not so much hard. It's just labor intensive, and it's 100 degrees in Oklahoma, and you just get so absolutely dirty. Like dirt where it's your face is brown, your socks are brown. You take it and you dump your shoe, and it's just dirt. And there's bugs in the sod. You got to lay the sod the right way. You got to cut it. You got to line it up. It's just messy labor. I mean, but I enjoyed it for the time. I would do it again, but I would prefer not to do it full time.
No, totally.
So you, let me say, how to say this? I never thought that you would be so vocal about your past to the public.
Yeah, that makes two of us.
And that's pretty recent, right?
Yes, that's pretty recent. I guess I don't even know where to start. Once again, I am from the Panhandle of Oklahoma, rural, no man's land, and from a little town called Guymon. And, it's just like any small rural town in America. It looks pleasant, and it's good and it's bad and all that good jazz. But my folks migrated there. Well, originally I was born out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, outside of Albuquerque, but we resided in the Panhandle of Oklahoma. And I think I always tell folks I had the most American upbringing. Like the economy out there is kind of revolves around agriculture. So there was like my parents got a job at a slaughterhouse. That was their first job. As a hog.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them started working at a slaughterhouse out there. I also have a sibling. She was born in Liberal, Kansas, but we resided out there in the Panhandle of Oklahoma, and that was just kind of it, man. So
at the time, for your family and your parents, though, was that those were good things?
You don't when we moved to that area, there was a trailer park that was built specifically for the workers of the plants. So think about this trailer park. We were the first tenants. This was like luxury.
Sure.
To us. Like we were the first tenants in these trailers.
And this is the early 90s or?
This was like 1994, 95.
Yeah. Something
like that. And, I'm like, I just came online, if you know what I mean. I'm like, what, 5 or 6,
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on
Yeah.
until you're just like, whoa, hey, I'm a same team being.
You're just happy to eat and play.
Yes, exactly. And so like, and the demographics in that trailer park was foreigners and Latinos, Hispanics. And so like, I just remember like, just fighting a lot of kids out there. Like
at 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, man. Like it was just like running around doing stupid things, and like the older kids would just like get 2 kids to fight, and just like I just remember that, just like always like having to scrap with these kids, and it was just like, to me it was like normal. It's what you did
when there's nothing else to do.
You come home with the busted lip. Dad goes like, what the hell happened? Oh, I don't know. And so I just remember just that experience, and alcohol was a big issue growing up. That's probably why I don't really care for it now. Have I had my time with it? Of course, especially in college, whatever. But
that's the social norm, though.
Right. And so
no matter how bad you act with it, it's always at every event,
yeah, it's just like, hey, it's legal, it's there, it's available, here, have at it. And so I don't know, just seeing like my pops, he was just like he'd get, whatever. Sometimes he'd be really nice, sometimes he'd just be angry. So I was just like, I don't know about all this, but I just remember just kind of seeing, just observing, kind of noticing it, and what happened. Moving forward, I don't know how deep I want to go into this, but hearing stories about family members getting arrested was really common.
In Guymon?
Well, just like anywhere. Like I would remember like hearing my and I was raised by my stepfather, by the way, but
okay.
He was there since I was like 6 months old. So, I'm a poor excuse of a bastard, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Like, the sperm donor came, did his thing, and he left, and then my stepfather came to the picture when I was 6 months old. So I like I said, I'm a poor excuse of a bastard because he was there. So I kind of had a father figure. However, do I think he was the best? No, but you get what you get, and it's all good. He did give me my sister, so I love him for that.
Yeah.
So where was I going with this? So I remember just hearing stories that he would tell me about family members like being in prison in Mexico, or family members being in prison in this country or whatever. And I remember when I was like young, I remember seeing him get arrested. That left an impression in my mind.
Your dad?
Yes, my stepfather. And now, to his defense, he was guilty by association, but he was still like
something petty.
It's very petty. This other guy was with him, stole some shit from a tool store or something. He just happened to be with him, and he got caught up.
Gotcha.
And so like just seeing that when you're young is like, it's kind of wild. It like leaves an impression.
Were you scared?
Yeah, man. It was like, whoa, like, why is this officer putting handcuffs on him? Why is it putting him on the hood? Whoa, what's going on? And then you have your neighbor calling you. You know, like, it's my neighbor. Why is your dad getting arrested?
Yeah.
Like, bitch, I don't know. Like, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, hold on.
The small town gossip.
Yeah, it's like you
peeking out the window.
You just take a shit, and before you know it, other people in the neighborhood know about it. And I'm just like, wait, I'm over here. And I remember, this is so wild.
They call you on the house phone?
Yeah, house phone back in the day.
I miss the house phone.
What you guys know about that? Landline. I remember that I was like in 5th or 6th grade. I ordered a drum set. It was my first drum set I ever got. I still have it. I mean, it's like the only drum set I have right now. But I ordered it from musiciansfriends.com. This is back in the day. I don't know if that website even exists. And that drum set was in transit. And because of what had occurred, my mom threatened to cancel the order. Dude, I was so brokenhearted. Like, over here, I got my pops getting arrested.
Why would she cancel it?
Well, because, like, we may need money to buy an attorney, or rather to hire an attorney. Like,
okay.
Just like I just remember this clearly, how like that traumatized. I was like, I just want my drum set, you know. And
like, I didn't have no qualms with this. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Back up on my drums.
Yeah, exactly. And so that happened, and so whatever. So you that becomes the norm. That becomes normalized. These things that occur that you see, whether it's violence, substance abuse, you know, it just becomes like, oh, this is normal. Like, this is what happens. You know, Hakuna Matata, no worries, whatever. No. Well, you know, whatever. So, what happened, the first time I ever got in trouble, I was like 13, 14 years old, and it was stealing instruments. I literally...
Where do you steal instruments from in Guymon?
I think it was like, I skipped school or some shit one day, just, you know, walking down an alley, and
just ditching, walking down the alley.
Yeah, you can't walk on the streets. The police will find you and take you back to school. And so, like, I was ditching school or something, you know, and I'm walking down an alley, and I look in this garage, like, you know how they have a garage in the alley, and it was just clear, and I looked in there, and I saw just, you know, like, the light was shining in there, like, you know, it was like oh. It was all these.
Those are mine.
Yeah, it was like, you know, you're 13, 14 years old. You're like, and all I wanted to do is I wanted to be in a band so bad. Like, I want to be in a band so bad. Like, it took me like a whole year to get this drum set. And I did the math. I'm like, it's going to take me 3 or 4 years to get everything else.
Or I can get this right now.
Yeah, I know, right, guys? So messed up. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I looked at it. I made arrangements with this other kid. He was like, I was like 6th grade or 7th. I was in 7th. And this kid was like a 9th grader. And I told him all about it. He slapped the bass, you know, here and there a little bit. And I was like, hey, dude, I found the jackpot. He was like, what? So like, we kind of like did a whole Mission Impossible. And yeah, so whatever. Well, I did it. Not proud about it, but we did it. So I went ahead and got, cables, microphones, boom stands, whatever. I didn't take any other instruments. I didn't take like any basses or any guitars. I did see them. I was like, I'll leave that there. Just like these auxiliary things that you need. And I didn't tell anyone. Okay. I kept that to myself, hid it under the bed. Didn't tell my parents, whatever.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, right. You had
like, where'd you get that?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I found it. And so I hid it under my bed, and the only thing that it took was that was associated with like a percussion instrument or anything was a drum head. Because I already have a drum set. Okay. I didn't need a drum set. I just needed a drum head, so I took a drum head. And so whatever.
From someone's garage.
It was someone's garage. Yes. some days go by. I don't know. Some days, maybe a week goes by, and then I'm starting feeling I feel like something's going on. My gut is telling me, okay, I think I'm going to get caught. I did not know how because I didn't tell anyone. But my friend who helped me out was acting weird.
Just not feeling secure.
He's a ninth grader, right? So I'm a sixth grader. He's like, no, seventh grader, pardon me. And he's a ninth grader. And I don't know what it was, but he was running his mouth.
That's why. Yeah.
So he was running his mouth, and I was like, all right. Remorse kicked in. Not because I felt bad. It's because
you don't want to get caught.
Yeah, I just got caught. Like, I'm going to be 100 right now. And so I was like, okay. So what I did was like, all right. So I got everything back in the bags that I had. So I'm running down back to this location, and I'm in the alley, and I look ahead, and I'm like, is that a cop car in the alley? It was. Dumpster right next to me. Opened the dumpster, and I threw stolen property in the dumpster. And I like closed it. I was like, I'm gonna go to the front. So I went like around the block, and I looked in the front. Cops in the front yard, and I'm like, shit. So I ran back home. I went and got all the other equipment. I got all the other stuff that I had. I came back running, and I had to go. I was a block behind, and I saw another dumpster. I threw it in there. And this is what I was gonna do. I was gonna call and tip the cops. Hey, I just happened to see a suspicious guy throw band equipment, and so anyway, so
you thought about that in sixth grade.
Word.
I don't know what in sixth grade I probably would have threw it away and then just like be like, oh yeah, my stomach hurts, I gotta lay down and like hide and cry and just hope that they don't come by.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's not okay, but it's what happened. Anyways, so keep
tipping
going.
the cops off it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I go home, and I was like, do I got everything out the house? And then I might kill this.
Kill it.
People are watching.
Keep it up. Kill it.
Oh, okay. I'll leave it as is. Okay, and so I was like, okay.
Tipping the cops off.
Think about tipping the cops off, and I'm like, I got all my stuff out. All right, cool. I step out to the front, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 cop cars pull up in my house.
So the whole Guymon Police Department.
Practically. I think it's like 6 cars. And so I was just like, oh shit. And so, all right, anyways, the
truth be told, isn't that a little excessive for a drumhead? For drums?
For band equipment? Yeah, but think about this. They don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Sure.
To them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, it's like, oh shit. We got to do some investigation or something, whatever. So they come
to work today.
Yeah, they're gonna make their money's worth. Our taxes are being used. So they come up to the house, and even then, I was like, I was ballsy as a kid. Like, the police officers show up in front of the house. My mom and my dad, come on now, they're just immigrants. They're just like, yes, officer, yes, sir, and. I was like, hey, can we come in? And I told my dad, like, something to the effect, I was like, ask him if he has a warrant.
This is awesome.
I was like, wait a second.
He can't come in here.
I was like, wait, no, we got rights.
I feel like you were either just a good little honorary criminal, or you were just above your years, well beyond your years.
I was just like, wait, no. And then they let him in. I'm like, And I was
they were probably scared, man.
No, poor.
That's how cops get you, too.
Yeah. And I was just like, whatever. And I was just like, I was like, I don't know anything. I don't know what y'all talking about. Like, can we go to your room? And they went in my room.
Like, no.
So they go to my room. And
y'all can go in my dad's room. He let you in.
No, right, exactly. You're not allowed. You need a warrant. I should have stayed in front of my door.
I feel like I could just see you, like, hold this up, like, we have rights. Don't let him in. That's so funny. So they bust you in the room, huh?
So they go to my room. Mind you, I don't have any stolen property in my room as far as I know.
By the way, I'm sure you might get to it. Did your friend rat you out?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Like, he just couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
So, So I put everything in these dumpsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything in my room. What are you talking about, officer? And the officer, this motherfucker. Remember what I took? I took a drum head.
Yeah.
It was the same brand that he had.
Who?
The other drummer, the one who was the victim of the robbery.
Okay.
The burglary.
So you had the missing piece, same brand.
So I had his drum head on my snare. And he's like, wait, the cop. I was like, man, this fucker has to be a musician or something.
He's good, huh?
Yeah, it's like
for Guymon, Oklahoma, that's a good cop.
Yeah, all right. He looked at, he's like, is that yours? And I'm like, I can't listen. I really can't lie. It's not because I'm like a virtuous, honest guy. It's just I can't remember my lies. I'm just yeah, it is, officer. It's mine. It's not mine. It's all right. Can you please take that off? Yes, sir. I took it off. I got the key. I took it off the drum set. And then he goes, okay. Now, Eric Loya, will you please turn you around? And please put your hands behind your back.
Damn it.
13, 14 years old. It was 30, yeah. Put my hands behind my back.
I don't know why I was thinking he might be like, this is wrong,
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to come wash our cars. No, okay.
My stepdad just put his head down. My mom starts crying. It was like, it was
You're
like
the failure of the family.
Oh, the black sheep. And that was the beginning of my, that was the first time and not the last. And that one, I think what happened after that, the other kid, he got a better deal because he stitched me out. So he didn't get as much in trouble. But what happened was that we all got him put on probation. He kept violating his probation.
You got put on probation for that?
Absolutely. I got put on probation. I had to pay restitution.
What?
I had a...
I didn't know you could do any of those as a 13-year-old.
Bro.
Or 14.
Like, they threatened to throw me in juvie. And they didn't because it was full. Like, there was a juvie
They didn't have the choice.
Yeah, they're like, we don't have that option. But you would. So what they did, if I remember correctly, they put like a monitor and bracelet on my ankle. So I had a GPS. Dude, that wasn't the first time. It's happened so many times after that.
I could maybe, based on what you've told me, maybe you got there, but the first time?
Well, because it was like, they base it on like the amount of dollars worth of...
So you still fancy shit.
Yeah, apparently. So anyways, that, okay. And then this is crazy. That happens. You're not going to believe this. I get arrested 2 weeks after that. I kid you not. So I got arrested for stealing instruments because I wanted to be in a band so bad. 2 weeks later, my dad decides to go to his buddy's house. So I'll go with him in his pickup truck.
Your dad?
Yeah, my dad goes to his friend's house, and I get in his pickup truck, and I don't want to go in the house, and I asked him for the keys, and he goes, okay, yeah, just stay in the truck. I just started driving the truck around that neighborhood, and I went on a dirt road in that neighborhood, and I was just doing like donuts and just whatever, and all of a sudden I saw a cop in front of me.
Another common thing in small town, I think.
Sure.
At that age, but
exactly.
Doesn't make it right, but
I turn the pickup off, and like I sink down in my seat, like just hoping he doesn't see me or some shit. He gets out of the cop car and I'm gonna ask you for your license, but something tells me you don't have one.
Dang. Another good Guymon cop.
Like, you're good at your job.
David, are you friends with the drum investigator?
And yeah,
you guys went to a good cleat.
Exactly, and that happened too, man. So like, there you go. 2 weeks. I think I ended up going to a detention then or something like that for like a little bit, for like maybe a couple months or a couple weeks. I said that, I can't even remember. Man, I don't think we can have enough time to go through all of them, because if I can just kind of like give you guys a big old snapshot of it.
They're good stories. That they would take a while, but you could always. I mean, so you're starting to pick up steam and getting in trouble.
So think about this. So that's 13. By the time I'm 17, I've been arrested 11 times.
So from 14 to 17,
13 to 17, I was arrested 11 times. I'm not even 18 yet. That's 11 times. I don't say that as like to impress anyone here. I mean, I say that to press upon you the state that I was in.
Do you think after the first couple you're just like, screw it, like it is what it is?
Yeah, man, it is what it is, and I think it was
you're bored in a small town,
just not giving a fuck. I got to the point that I was very I was not cooperative with any of the officers. Anytime they, they knew me first name basis, and it was always for different things. It was
little bullshit,
and then eventually it was aggravated assault, like fighting, being drunk in public, or
what is aggravated assault consist of?
I broke a guy's nose.
Just fighting.
Yeah, like he was like the thing about it is like every time I got arrested didn't mean I got charged every time. I fought every case. Lost. I think I won more.
Gotcha.
than I lost, but I think
with the aggravated assault,
I won that one because like I he was 6 foot tall.
But did you run up? Was he bullying you, or did you just run up on him?
Yeah, he was bullying me, and like out there, like you gotta like stand up, and I don't think I never was a bully growing up, man. Like let's be honest, like I never was a bully. I did get respected by my peers because they knew that I wasn't one to mess with. Because like, all right, if you're gonna pick on me, like I'm gonna mirror you.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna
kick back.
Yeah, like I just am, and so so that happened, and I remember I was sat in a cell for like 3 weeks for that one, just because I hit this guy in the nose and broke his nose. And I went to the court, and I'm like, and I even lost weight for court. I was like, little old me, I was defending myself, and this guy over here trying to press charges on me, and nothing happened. So, but eventually, I violated my probation, and I don't really remember all the details, but they're like, all right, you got to go. Like, we were sending you off. I think it was my sophomore year in high school. So, yeah. So I wasn't, I didn't go to my sophomore year in high school. I spent like that. It was like right at the end of my freshman year, the last day of school, my freshman year, I got picked up and got thrown in a cell. Like they took me to Hooker detention.
Where's that?
Hooker detention. Hooker is also in the Panhandle, like 10 miles away from Guymon. They have a baseball team called the Horny Toads. So you can go to a town in the Panhandle, Oklahoma, and buy a T-shirt that says Hooker Horny Toads.
That's a high school team or a jail team?
I think no, it's a high school team.
Oh, okay.
So I'll get you a T-shirt next time I go.
I've lived in Oklahoma like 27 out of the 31 years of my life, and I mean, you know how much little time I spent on the handle, but
I always tell people there's a pretty girl behind every tree, but there ain't that many trees.
That's a North Dakota joke too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard that. I mean, I did not know that North Dakotans say that.
Anywhere that there isn't shit is where they say it. But
Gotcha.
So you went to detention as soon as school was over.
It's a detention center. So think about this. It's like a daycare.
How long are you there?
So that one. And it's chaperone. So there's females in there too.
Is this good or bad?
Well, you get to look at them. That's good. But I mean, you ain't gonna, And then you're wearing an orange jumpsuit. You have individual cells. You have staff. They call staff members. I don't like to call each other guards. But man, you just feel like a criminal. You know what I'm saying? Baby jail. And so you're just in there like, all right, I'm doing time. You putting the marks on the wall, if you will.
Get your rep up.
You're there doing, knocking out push-ups in the morning. And so I remember just, I'm extrovertly stimulated. So I eventually gravitated towards books. And I just became like a ferocious reader. I needed to escape my mind needed to escape those walls, because if it didn't, I think I would have lost it.
Sure.
Like really lost it. So that's one thing. In fact, the staff members like would bring books to me, because I would like I ran through all the books on the bookshelf, and they just kept feeding me books. And I think I started off with like the Harry Potter books.
Classics?
Yeah, the classics, right? And then eventually I was like, all right, I'm over this. I need to read some like real shit. And so I started reading like
not a wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
Need some motivation.
No, I did. I got into like John Grisham and like Patterson books, and I didn't get into the sci. That's one thing that I don't dabble into much, is sci-fi, or rather nonfiction.
That's all Lindsay reads is nonfiction, and I'm the opposite. I like. Wait.
You like sorry, not non-fiction. I meant fiction.
Yes, we're backwards.
I messed up. Yeah, I
You do or do not like fiction?
I do not read fiction.
I don't either.
That's
all I read is nonfiction. Excuse me.
Right.
Lindsay,
I messed up.
all she reads is fiction.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was. It was just like I feel like I wanted to like read something that can apply.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I started this whole like, all right, how can I get better? Even though I'm in the shittiest place you can possibly be at. But in this stint that I was in there, I was in that detention, I kid you not, for like 6 months.
You went there that day and you stayed 6 months?
6 months just rotting in there, bro. Like I ended up making like a workout plan. Like I just started like, I just had a routine. Like, hey, there's Eric.
So
like,
you didn't go to school part of your sophomore year? Oh, it's school in there.
You go to school in there, and then supposedly they count that as credits.
Do they send people from all over the state here? And
Absolutely.
It just happened to be close to your hometown?
It just happened to be close to there. Like if you're like a city boy and you really need to get locked up, and
they send your ass out there?
Yeah, they'll send your ass to the boonies. Like
that's like Holes.
Yeah, I read that book, Locked Up.
Yeah, I love Holes. That's a fiction book I did like. So like for you, it was right up the road. It was kind of homey, but for someone from Tulsa, that's like, where the freak are they sending me?
Yeah, no, that's a bad place. Like, yeah, it was crazy. So like, you know, you're in there, and hell, I did a lot of things. I even learned how to like, I learned how to communicate in sign language, like a poor excuse of it. Like there was a girl,
the basics.
There was a girl who's deaf, who's locked up. If I can remember correctly, she was like, I think prostituting herself at like truck stops.
Jesus.
I know. It gets worse, man.
Yeah,
so
unfortunately,
this is truth. So you had this young girl, and she was like cute too. You're just like, what are you doing? But you know, deaf girl gets caught up, and she ends up in hooker detention. And she's there. She looks at me, and she has like this contraption in her ear, right? And she, you know, speaks like a deaf person would speak. And I was like, what's up with you? And she was just like, you know, and she was like, teach me. So when And that's the only way I could interact with her, if she was teaching me something and the staff members allowed it. So then I was like, you know, she showed me her ABCs. And so eventually we started communicating with one another by like sign language. And so I just like learned, like, you know, like you start with the basics, like, you know, like whatever, I'm just playing. Like,
is that whatever?
Yeah, this is whatever. I'm just playing. I like girls.
We taught, well, Lindsay taught him. I taught a little bit, but my son, he does please a lot.
Yeah.
More, all done with food. So
and that's a really good thing to do. I mean, you know, kids should learn multiple languages, or you know, it's good for your development. So I did that, you know, and you know, I just did whatever I could to kind of just stay stimulated. And then I started getting to the point where I was becoming a problem. So there was a staff member I do need to talk about. This is some crazy. There's so many stories with him, but you know, just to kind of stay on top. There's a staff member, this guy that showed up. He was a new higher up. He was just like, I don't know, young 20s, early 20 guy. If I remember, what was his name? I'm not trying to dox this guy, but fuck him. Whatever. Let's call him Josh. I think that is his name. But anyway, so this guy, staff member, gets hired at hooker detention. He's an adult, but he's like, he comes in there and he's trying to be like hard, right? He's trying to be a hard ass. And I look at him and I'm like he kind of had he was kind of going bald. And he's already early in the 20s, and I was like, you know,
you picked up on it.
I'm a young kid. I'm gonna make fun of you.
Yep.
I made fun of him. Whatever. Guess what? Karma's a bitch. I'll share with you that here in a bit. Anyway, so that happened. So that this staff member, like, we just bumped head to law, and he just didn't care for me. I didn't care for him. And then eventually, one day he got really excited at work. I was like, why is this son of a bitch excited? What the hell's going on? He was like, you're getting transported to Woodward. I'm like, what? I'm going to the armpit of Oklahoma? Why? Yeah, you are. So there came a van. Police officer put me in shackles, put me in the van, took me to Woodward, Oklahoma. Now that's a different detention center. That's a different beast.
Do you think this guy put your name in there or something?
I don't know, but I maybe. Who knows?
So this is jail or?
So this is just another juvenile detention center, another juvie hall, another juvie, like another place to hold kids. So bam, you get transported over there. And this is different. You cannot talk to other inmates. You cannot communicate. You have to eat with your palms on the table. Any conversations are directed towards staff members. I did not adhere to these rules. They put my ass in solitary confinement. The first time was for 3 weeks.
Oh, dude. I know that's not, I should be laughing at that, but.
No, it's funny you're laughing.
That's a long time.
Dude, what do you do in 3 weeks?
Me?
Yeah, think about what you do in 3 weeks. I'm like 15. I'm like 15, 16. And I'm sitting in the cell for 3 fucking weeks. At first, they gave me the Bible, right? So I read the thing, right? I'm already reading the Bible. I read it, I think I read it like 3 times. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like maybe twice, maybe 2.5. After the third time, I was like, this thing is fucking confusing.
I would read anything if I had nothing else to do.
Yeah, so after that, so I was
science manual.
yeah, manual. And then eventually I just started using it as a pillow. And once it's because they well, understand they take it's a concrete slab, right? And they take your bed during the day, so you don't sleep all day.
No way.
So they take your bed.
That was like my like, hey, I'm putting in 12 during the day,
bro.
8 at night. So
cruel and unusual punishment.
I didn't know you could go into solitary confinement as a kid.
And these assholes that put the AC on, so you're cold as fuck. So you're just cold. And
okay, I did that, but in ISS, in school suspension, not solitary. So you can't go to sleep. Oh my God.
And so I just was like, like you become desensitized and whatever. Anyways, there was a staff member. I remember this clearly. The staff member was like, hey, he came in there and he gave me like 3 or 4 encyclopedias. I was like, oh my God, I love you. That's when you know shit's fucked up. When you start, loving encyclopedias. So I just started reading them, man. I just started going ham on them, and I think I was. I recall being in solitary confinement for like maybe a month and a half. By then, I was there for like 3 months. I did 3 months solitary confinement, and then I got out, and then went back in because I just, I threw a fit, and they just did not tolerate that. And then after that, I still had to serve my time in a boot camp. So I got sent off to boot camp. So I went to it's called Thunderbird Youth Academy.
I do know Thunderbird because that's in our neck of the woods.
Correct. Never been out here before until then. And so I went to Pryor, Oklahoma, Mays County, as they say, right? Yep. And so there's 2 companies. There's a Bravo,
Pryor Creek,
and Pryor Creek. There's a Bravo company and there's an Alpha company. Mm-hmm. Alpha company, those are the kids that like voluntarily went there. Those are the kids that go home.
I know a kid that volunteered and went there.
Yeah, see, in my mind I was like, what the hell? and then they have money and they have
kind of like a pre-military type.
Sure, right. You're getting ready for whatever, go join the military. And so we were there, and we were all like, and we arrived there, and you see, like, I'm from the country, okay. And this is the first time I came in contact with like inner city kids, urban kids. And so like you have these young boys, like 15, 16, 17 years old, tatted up.
Yeah.
Gang banging. What's your set? Huh? What you set? What you bang? And I'm like, my set, it's an export series, Pearl.
I got a couple trees in the back.
I was a smart ass and I told him I bang a drum set. Like, nah, man, what's your gang? What's your gang? I was like, dude, I hang out with rowdy country boys. I'm not a gang banger. And so like, I got exposed to that. And so that was interesting. I made sure that I made a scene at the beginning. I noticed there's a trend, there's a pattern. If you create a scene from the get-go, you don't get messed with. And I made a scene.
What does that mean?
So, meaning like, I on the 3rd day there, I pissed off a drill sergeant.
On purpose?
On purpose. I pissed him off. I did something that just, whatever. We were marching, and I wasn't paying attention, or I decided not to. And he goes, Loya, drop down and give me 20. I did it. Get up, run to the light pole, go. Crawl on all 4 legs. All right. again, repeat. I did that for like 15 minutes. And I start in the middle of it. So I'm over, he's smoking my ass, right?
Yeah.
And I started laughing. Just laughing hysterically. Like, he was like, you think this is funny? I'm like, I just told him, I was like, I am going to push, I'm going to run, I'm going to crawl so much that I'm going to make you burn some of that weight you got there. He was on the heavy side. And
Same.
He goes, oh, you think you're funny, huh? Sir, yes, sir. He's like, okay, well, let's see how funny you think you really are. He made the whole company get chow. And they went and got it. I don't know if you read this on my Instagram, but, yeah, so he slid the tray under me. He was like, all right, have fun eating in the plank position, Loya. And I looked at him and I said, fuck it. I just started eating I got my milk carton out of my mouth and just like a dog, just, and I just like chugged it. And then I started eating all my food and like sweat was dripping in there. And I ate that in like less than 2 minutes. And I looked, my face was covered with food and everything. And like, he just looked at me like, what the hell? And my whole company, right. Yeah. And the company was like, so I saw some and I saw some like smiles. I saw some guys do this. I'm like, yeah. And then he was like, okay, Loya, Cadet Loya, get up, clean your mess and get back to your platoon. And after that, like, all like gang bangers and all the hard guys are like, you with me, man, come over here. I'm like, whatever. So it was just I don't know why I did that, but I just remembered my ability to just talk to everyone. I was able to talk to the black kids. I was able to talk to the white kids. I was able to talk to everybody because there was like only 2 Hispanics there. It was like me and this other kid. And little did I know this was a foreshadowing of prison. Because segregation is real. So
sure. Is it similar that way at like Thunderbird or not really?
No, it's not necessarily. It's not like that. No, and on top of that, you work together so much that you do build some sort of camaraderie.
Yeah.
You're marching every day. You're waking up at 4:45.
Because they're really trying to build young men that have been troubled, right?
Absolutely.
Instead of prison where it's like
right.
People are coming out worse, mostly.
No, that's true. The odds are against you. The data doesn't lie. Recidivism is just like so high. It's not even a joke. It's like,
well, do you think there's a outside of your personality and your characteristics and your demeanor and all the good things about you, right? Do you think there's a reason that people don't believe you?
Oh, shoot.
You're just like, no way. Because everybody that comes out, it's like, I'm gonna throw stereotypes out here, but it's like, you got sketchy tattoos, you go back, you can't get a decent job. I mean, just all the bad things that come out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. And I mean, just the way you move, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself. Yeah. The thing that helped, there's a couple of things, I think, a couple of factors that maybe you can't tell that's my past. And it's because I got lucky and I had help. That's it. Like, I got lucky, man. Like, if we want to move forward a little bit quicker here.
Well, let's get a little bit like, so you're at Thunderbird. So then you can wrap that up, and then you can.
Yeah. So from Thunderbird, what happened after that?
You graduate or move on from the program?
You're right. Yeah, you graduate from the program. Oh, I remember I took my ASVAB, and I remember seeing these 2 Army recruiters, I don't know, trying to recruit me to the Army. You should get
the perfect place to get picked up there. I mean,
sure.
You just did everything they do in the Army.
Right. Hey, why not? Perfect fit. And but I remember when that occurred. Excuse me, this carbonated water's getting me. I remember it was 2 really bad salesmen. That's why I didn't do it. I was looked at them. I was like, man, you ain't bullshitting the bullshit. I don't know. I don't think I can hang out with guys like you. I just didn't like them.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was like, no, I'm going to go back to my town and I want to go back to high school. And they looked at me like, why did you want to do that? And I was like, dude, I want to go back to high school. I want to kind of try to have a normal life. So
I didn't love high school, but I loved being a kid.
Right.
Some people are high school heroes per se. I had way more fun in college. I'd go back to college. High school was it was a good time though. But it's nice to be young and do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. And I liked sports.
Yeah.
And I wanted to continue playing some sports. Like,
Yeah, we got to hear about the infamous paper story, but
paper story.
newspaper? You in the newspaper?
Oh my gosh, how do you remember that?
I don't know.
That's so
It was interesting to me, so maybe that's why. Just thought it was
so
kind of funny.
All right, yeah, we can get that. If you wouldn't have brought that up, I wouldn't have remembered.
Well, it's the same way with the little things with like, my standing desk at work, maybe the 4-hour work week. Still have that book. I don't remember us like connecting over that. I just remember being like, Eric's the only guy here that's not a freaking ass hat or is, miserable. But
right.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you when you told me, but I think it was when you told me, you were a troublemaker and did some time, and then I did the standard like, bullshit, and you're like, I'm serious. And I was like, okay, for what? And then you were like, and then the story.
So okay, among the last couple of things I remember doing, this is it's so silly, but I mean, I'm just gonna say it. So by this time I'm like 18 years old. I'm not in trouble anymore, but doesn't take too long, and I go to a car wash with my girlfriend at the time.
But after Thunderbird, you get back to Guymon. You're in high school playing football.
Sorry, let me do that. So I get out of Thunderbird, and so I eventually go back. I get I don't get allowed to go to the high school yet. They put me in alternative for a little bit. They're like, we don't know.
I've seen those.
So I went in alternative, and I was lacking a couple credits to be a junior.
Yeah.
I did like 6 hours in like 2 months. Like I just was like, they're like, wait,
Oklahoma education, huh?
Yeah, guys, I'm not that smart. It's just the education's that bad. Like I think we're beating Mississippi by a little, and
till next year.
Yeah, till next year. And so then eventually I go to back to the high school, and I start. I'm a junior, and I'm playing football. I did powerlifting, and I also ran track, and also I did show choir.
Okay.
I was a drummer for a show choir. So
speaking of regrets that I regret not doing like band or speech and debate. If I could go back, I would do sports and one of those. But anyways,
it was a good thing to. I needed as many distractions or as many things to do because I just have that kind of energy. So, my coaches kept me real close to them. My teachers, even though like it was kind of crazy. Like I've always had teachers that invested in me, put a little bit extra. I don't know what it was. I was able to attract them. I was likable, but I was ornery.
So maybe they saw the good in you and that you needed a little bit of guidance.
Sure. So, the community raised me, if you will. But what happened? So I'm playing sports junior. Nothing really happens. I'm 17 my junior. So yeah, I turned 18 and then it's my senior year. And then my dumbass, at this time I was dating this girl. I will not say her name, but guys, vet the people you date. Some of them just don't qualify. I'm just being honest. Anyways, so I'm dating this individual, and so we were at a car wash.
When you're 18, right? I mean, everyone's pretty stupid when they're 18. So.
Right. And so, anyways, I go to this car wash, and I put the money in the machine. The machine doesn't work. I look in the office. Hey, sir, your machine's not working, and I see a money bag. Dumbest thing you could do. Just grab it. Why? Because I have no morals. I just did it. Grabbed it. That was probably the worst thing they ever did, or probably it was the most necessary thing that ever happened. But anyways, camera saw me. I'm in trouble again.
How much was in it?
$45. Just wait. So the man who owns a car wash knew me. Because
did you know him?
Well, yeah, and I didn't know he owned that business.
Oh.
That hurt more than anything. That was like
you stole from a friend that you didn't know.
A person who actually in fact, I heard that he praised me because of my athletic abilities because he's seen me play. Dang. He saw me run track, and that was it's a shitty feeling. So that happened. The money was returned and everything. He dropped the charges. the state of Oklahoma picked him back up.
How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not saying I haven't deserved to be arrested, maybe, but I've never like been arrested or anything. So
Sure.
I don't know. It's all foreign.
I wish I can expand on that, but I don't know how the hell that works. But the state of Oklahoma decided to say, nah, we got to get this guy. So what they did,
maybe since he was kind of a friend, he's like, oh, he's cutting him some slack, but he's been dirty to us.
So it was my first offense, if you think about it, because your juvenile record is sealed.
Okay.
Right. Technically, right.
Sure.
So,
but not really.
Preach. Yeah.
Because
technically,
you wouldn't have went where you went if that was your first charge. Only.
Preach. Yes.
So,
that's it. So
I should go to law school, huh?
You should have take the
bar.
The bar. No, what is the test? You have to take a test before you go to law school, or right before your law school.
Maybe I shouldn't go. I don't know what it's called. So SAT.
No. Anyways.
Yeah.
So
Oklahoma is like, nah.
No, the state of Oklahoma says, we can't do that. We gotta get this guy, and so. The way they worded the crime, it was petty theft. The way they worded it, they said it was second-degree burglary. It was a felony. And so I go to court, and guess who's my judge? The same judge I had throughout my juvenile.
Of course.
And he's like, "Hey, Eric, what's up?" No, he didn't say that. He was like, even though my juvenile record is sealed, you can't forget.
No.
And so, they were like, well, Eric, I'm fighting this case my whole senior year. I'm fighting this felony. I'm fighting it.
And you get assigned to like a public attorney, or do you hire a private? Or how does that work?
A public piece of shit? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that guy shows up. He don't care. I swear to God, mine reek like alcohol every day. But anyways, that's him. So he's there. He don't care. I'm like, okay, so I'm fighting
here's
this.
the real criminal. Don't get worried.
Right.
I got rights.
Back to that. I should have just defended myself. I would have done a better job.
We got rights.
So anyway, so I focus my mind on school and football and sports and music. That's all I did my senior year. So my senior year.
And this is like a really long drug out process?
Very long drawn. Like my whole senior year, I'm fighting a felony case.
How does that work? Why does it take so long?
Because like you're trying to get a deal with the DA.
Yeah.
You're trying to get some sort of, all right, what's the least amount I can do? And so anyway, so
were you scared for a year?
Oh, like
or were you pretty confident?
I woke up every day and I took a shot, a cocktail of adrenaline, epinephrine, and cortisol, like every day. So what do? Like, you can't sit there and dwell on it. What you do is like you put your head down and play football, go to school, hang out with chicks. Well, I don't know, whatever you do. And so I'm over here fighting this case, but I focus on football, and we're doing pretty good as a football team.
Okay,
first time in a long time. We make it to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. You know, so funny. My number was 17. So funny. Okay, so we made it to the playoffs.
You're a tailback?
And I'm a running back, right? Yeah, I'm a tailback. And so I was there was another buddy of mine. He was probably leading in yardage, but I was right behind him. And so, hey, we made it to the playoffs in 17 years. So, party at Eric's house. I throw a party.
Parents are gone?
Parents are gone. They're in Amarillo, Texas. I throw a party. Guess what happens? The cops bust the party. Guess what happens? They barge in. Guess what Eric says? Oh, you guys need a warrant. I literally just lied.
Right.
Yeah, right. And my friends were like, Eric, calm down. No, fuck that. They need to get the hell out of here. No, you cops, you get out of here right now. Go get a warrant. No, you're not supposed to be in here. Man, they were just like, arrest him. They arrested my ass. just straight up. And I was like, I told my teammates, call coach. Call the coach. They did.
I need some help.
The coach showed up. He just showed up. He tried,
I got a game next Friday.
Yeah, exactly. I got a game next Friday. Come on, coach. Oh, this is when it just. This is when it gets bad. I show up school the next day and people are hooting, hollering, yeah, Eric. And I go to jail, right? But I get 24 hours. I get out.
What
whatever.
was the cause? Or what was?
Yeah, they wanted to charge me with distributing alcohol to minors when I am a minor. Like, how
would that just be minor in possession?
Well, anyways, at the end of the day, that got dropped.
You did distribute to minors, even though
did
you were
distribute to minors, but I couldn't buy it. I was only 18. But
you're like, someone distributed this to me.
Yeah,
actually,
exactly. I'm a victim here.
Sounds like you should have been a snitch.
I know I should have. Let's see. You know what?
No,
if I
maybe
could,
not.
I'm not. That's not in my blood.
Yeah.
But like, if I was a snitch, I could have just been like, just.
You're like, you know who bought this, right?
Just living the life. But then I wouldn't have. No, I was accountable. I needed to be accountable for my irresponsibilities. So that happened. On like the next week, a friend of mine goes, Eric, have you seen the Guymon Daily newspaper? Or it was a Guymon Daily Herald or some shit. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I'll go ahead and I go get the paper. On the front page of the newspaper, it says, underage party busted. Eric Loya was arrested. Da-da-da-da-da. And I like flip to the sports page. The front of the sports pitch, I'm running for a touchdown. Eric Loya running for a touchdown. Guymon makes it to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. And I was like, this is wild. Like, this is crazy. Like,
Then back in the classifieds, you got an ad for a garage sale. Selling all my shit to buy some drums. Oh, that's funny.
Oh God, yeah, I cannot believe you remember that, man.
Yeah,
that's.
I never thought you to be a liar, but I was like, what?
No,
maybe you got a PI, but like you didn't do time, and you're like, no, I did time. And I was like, no. Yeah.
So okay, so that happened. So I'm still fighting this case throughout my senior year. I did powerlifting. I remember doing that, and I remember it was track season, and I also I had a big L. So I was one of the. So I ran like a 10.8 hundred. Mind you, this is backs.
No.
This was back in the, what was it, 2006, 2000. I graduated 2007. So I remember this is a true story. So I qualified for the 100-meter dash for state.
Yeah.
And I'm chilling at the school, at the gym. It's an off hour. The school principal comes up to me. He's like, Eric. I'm like, what's up, Mr. I don't know if I need to dox this guy. No, anyway, what's up, principal? What do you want? He goes,
what's up, mister?
He goes, did you qualify for the 100-meter dash for state for 4A? I'm like, yeah. He was like, I didn't know you were that dark enough for that race. I looked at him like, well, I'm going to represent Guymon. I'm going to try to get that gold. He's like, good job. He just walks away.
Damn.
Now, can you get away with that today?
Right.
No. That's why,
some people can.
Yeah, some people can. But it's just like, to me, that's so normal, which is like, I don't know if it's okay or not, but it's just like I don't take those things to heart. But, it was just the blatant. That was just real. This is what it is. It was just raw and real. Anyway, so that happens. And I remember the track coach not liking me. And I did some stupid shit at school. And he just banned me from track.
Before the meet?
Yeah, I was also a pole vaulter. I did pole vaulting. I was a sprinter. And eventually the guy was like, yeah, I'm kicking you off the team. Why? Yeah. Still want you on the team, Eric. I'm like, broke me. So I didn't get to play in my senior year. I didn't get to play at the playoff games that my team lost. I'm not saying that.
Because you got arrested?
Oh, I forgot to tell you that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So the coach was like, Eric, Loya, I'm sorry. You can't play this game, but you can play after we win. I'm like, man, dude, that just broke me. I was just like.
And then y'all never won.
They didn't win. I'm not saying, oh yeah, if Eric was on the field, they would have won. But I'm just saying that if I was on the field, we would have won.
You got Uncle Rico. Might have won state.
Yeah, state. Sounds
like it was your last game to ever play, right?
So that game that we won in the city that made us qualify for the playoffs was the last game I ever played.
But you missed the final game.
I missed the
final game. You missed.
I missed it. I couldn't even be on the sidelines.
Yeah. Coach probably had to do that, right?
No, he had to.
Yeah.
He had to. It was out of his hands. Like,
yeah.
The principal probably called him and told him he needed to do that. And so, anyways, so in track, I was also like, pretty fast, if you will. And, I was just misbehaving in school, teachers getting on to me, and eventually he got wind of it, and he was like, yeah, hey, I'm just cutting you off the team. And I think they knew what was hovering above me. Like, I think I didn't tell anyone my problem. I wasn't telling people that I'm fighting this case. I'm trying to. But I think it's just like maybe the stress was getting to me, and so whatever. So, I graduate. Okay, so So what they wanted to do, they wanted to give me 5 years.
Who?
The state of Oklahoma wanted to give me 5 years of lockup for second degree burglary.
For the
45,
the cash from the car wash?
$45, yes. But then I have this other arrest now think about that. Now I have this other arrest.
Minor in possession.
Or distributing to minors because I threw a party after a football win. Yeah, there you go. So all of a sudden I have like these two. Now I got 2 cases. It doesn't look good. And so they were like.
So you go into court one day and they're like proposing 5 years in prison.
Sure.
And are you losing your mind?
I'm like, this was funny. Not funny. This is kind of silly because I know in Oklahoma, if it's a violent crime, you only do 85%. If it's non-violent, you only do 35%. So I was doing the math real quick. I was like, 5 years. It's only like not even 2 years.
Is that why they go so heavy, you think?
I'm not certain why that is, but like you got to understand, like you never do. I think I don't know. I might be talking out of my ass, but if you go to federal, you're doing all the time. But I think in state, that doesn't. I'm just going to talk about what I know about. Okay. So, in the state of Oklahoma, that's what it is. So, if you did a violent crime, you're going to do 85% of that time, whatever time they give you.
Probably deserved.
Absolutely. You should do the whole 100% if you did a violent crime. And so
is that usually like murder?
It could be a violent crime. Could be aggravated. It could be assault. It could be, even spitting on somebody. It could be a violent crime is when I'm assuming we may need to pull up Google. It's just like
physical.
Yeah, you do a harm to another human.
Yeah.
And so
they try to give you 5 years.
And I'm like,
for aggravated robbery.
Second degree burglary.
I was way off, but okay.
But close enough.
Second degree burglary.
And the way they worded it is that they suggested that I broke into the car wash, which I didn't. I went in there with the intention to get help. And the reason why I know this is because I had another attorney look at it after the fact. He's like, dude, you got fucked. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you shouldn't have really done any time. You should have just gotten like a slap on the wrist.
God, does that crush you to hear? Or do you think you needed it?
No, because what happened was necessary.
So you think obviously it helped you out.
I think I wouldn't be sitting in front of you if things didn't pan out the way they did. Like, despite the fact that it occurred the way it did,
I'll take that, and you're probably right, but not everyone is like you, and that sucks.
Thank you.
That sucks for someone who maybe isn't as driven or didn't have a good mentor or all the things that you credit to being who you are and learning afterwards. How many out of 100, how many people get that? I mean, is it 10? Is it less than 10? Is it 30? So the fact that you maybe shouldn't have done it, but at the same time, maybe it did help you and maybe it was something, but still just kind of wild how one attorney or one judge is like, this is what it is. And then one guy's like, nah, you shouldn't have even done it. That variable just shouldn't be so variable considering the situation.
Right. Right. However, though, when you lack money,
Yeah.
influence,
Yep.
power, you don't have leverage.
Yeah, I know. It's sad.
And whenever you do, if you're of a higher status, you do have it. And I witnessed it. Like I saw, I saw peers of mine who did way worse shit than I did.
Yeah.
And they got, daddy knew somebody. Daddy was connected. And you're just like, damn. And you kind of, you come back corrected. You recognize. So you act accordingly.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? Hey, what are you going to do? Cry about it? You can't. Like, you just got to, like, I knew the situation. And so, 3 days after I graduated from high school, once again, all my peers are going off to UCO, OSU.
Going down to the city.
I was getting ready to go to DOC. So what they did is they did a really interesting program for me. They were like, Eric, we're not going to charge you with a felony, but you can go do time. We'll do a delayed sentencing. We're going to delay your sentencing, but you're going to go downstate.
What does that mean? Delay your
sentencing? So think about it. They're going to delay. They're not going to sentence me. They're just going to lock my ass up. And we're going to delay the sentence, meaning you're a felon or this is your crime. You go do your time. Keep your nose clean. When you come back, we'll sentence you. And maybe we can sentence you as a deferred sentencing, meaning you can get expunged, meaning you're no longer a felon. It was a program, I don't know why it was developed. It was for young adult offenders, first-time young adult offenders. And so they're like, I guess this was an opportunity.
So it's better than what it could have been?
Yes, a lot better. So they were like, okay. But however, though, like the thing about it is that they don't really recognize what they're doing. And I can dive deep into this, but I think we need to get into the politics behind it. But recognize, guys, that Oklahoma had a really big private prison business going on.
Still do, right?
And it's based on, I haven't looked into it lately, but like you have these prisons that have contracts with the state, and they have to have a certain amount of people occupied, and the state likes to be conservative with their money. So if the beds are not full, they feel like they're wasting money. And you have lobbyists who like to keep enforcing these archaic laws so they can keep. It's a pipeline. There's a private prison, and think about all the resources that go to these prisons, from food, from chemicals, from this and that. And it's just like this. It's a business that makes money off incarceration.
Isn't that so hard to really think that you're like, no, surely not. Surely we wouldn't want to put people in to fund the money, but then when you break down the science and you're like,
you break down the economics, like
maybe it's there.
It is there. In fact, based on how many, some of these prisons, private prisons, are in like I remember reading this when I was in college, because I was like looking into my situation just afterwards. These companies are in the stock exchange.
They are. I can attest to that. I looked at it one time. Yeah. People were like, private prisons and this, and it was like on Robinhood. It's like called Triple C or something. It's like correctional centers. I don't know what it's called, but it's a corporation. It's on. You can own stock. You can buy it on Robinhood.
Sure.
Right now.
Sure.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. Which, if it's a not-for-profit or a non-profit business, it wouldn't have stock, right? So the goal is to drive a profit.
Well, yeah, you have to.
So that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, if you have investors, you got to make your investors money. You know, like, this is America, capitalism.
That's so crazy, and people talk about it a lot too. Like, I even wrote a paper on it in my master's program, being a component for entrepreneurship and capitalism. And I really wrote it not for any type of political reason, mainly because I couldn't find anything else to write about, and I just like small business, and I like all the guys that do good things. Like, big fan of Mark Cuban, big fan of guys who self-prosper and grow and all that. But yeah, the capitalist stuff like that, that's so crazy that you just figured it would be like the government would handle it, or it would be a nonprofit, right? You just run
Right.
the bills, not a business.
Right. And I mean, you know, so where are we at? I
So
remember.
you get sentenced.
So they're like, they delayed the sentencing, remember? So like I'm looking at, they're like, you got to do about 6 months at a minimum. So in Oklahoma, you have minimum, medium, maximum.
Yeah.
So my crime was minimum, right? However, my time doesn't start until I get to the yard, meaning that your timing. So I went to jail 3 days after I graduated high school.
You don't get time for credit served?
No.
Why?
Because you're not doing your time. You're waiting to pull chain, as they call it in Oklahoma. So I'm gonna throw some. I'm gonna throw some terms out there that they use in there. So
Pull chain.
I'm in jail, in Texas County Jail, in the Panhandle of Oklahoma. Don't get confused, guys. It's just a county in the Panhandle of Oklahoma named Texas. And so I'm in there for what? I don't know. I was there for I was there for several months. Was it? I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months, whatever.
What?
So I'm in county
Hold
jail.
on. You're in jail for 3 to 4 months
Sure.
to go to
Waiting.
prison,
Yeah.
and you don't get credit for it.
Nothing.
Are you sure?
I don't,
That's crazy. I mean, okay, let me. That was disrespectful. I'm sorry. I know you're sure. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
I thought that was the whole point. Is you get time served, so like some of those guys will spend a year in jail waiting, and then
depending on the deal you get.
Jesus.
Depending on the
I'm sorry.
deal.
That was rude.
No, it's not. I think
Are you
it's
sure,
funny.
Eric?
I mean, like, let me look back at the papers. And so I remember just
That's
sitting.
awful.
Yeah, dude, I'm sitting in jail, in county jail, just like in this pod, and like, I'm just like, okay. And people coming in, people coming out. And then there was like 1, 2, 3, there was 4 pods, and I was just in one pod. And I remember like the guy down, like I was up top. There's like 3 or 4 cells up there. I think I was alone. I had my own cell by myself, and I was a guy that was in my drawers all day long reading with coffee in his hand. Like, yeah, I was
At 19,
yeah,
18. You feel like you're doing life in there.
I mean, I've already done time, so it's kind of like, I'm here doing it. And I remember that was like the hardest time I ever did, though. It was so hard. Like, it hurt. Like, I remember just like
Seeing what the stocks are like at the prison that you're going to. Might as well buy into this thing. Make a little money while that's probably too soon. But...
No, that's so. Listen, with me, it's never too soon. Never too soon. Okay. Yeah. So like,
So you're spending a couple months waiting to go to prison.
Just waiting, like you're waiting for the day to come and they pick you up at nighttime. But there's a lot of things that occurred at jail that I do need to share at least one story with you. A couple of stories. Like, you're in there with like people that got busted trafficking drugs. Like, people are waiting to go to court. Still.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the guy down. Like, I remember this one guy.
Like, you could have a murderer waiting to be sentenced.
You just stole my thunder.
Sorry.
So there was this guy, this older guy, Caucasian fellow, tall one. He was just like quiet. He wouldn't eat his meal. I'm over here hungry as hell. I would eat my breakfast and I look at him and no one talked to him. And I'm like, hey,
Can I get that biscuit?
yeah, are you going to eat that? And he's like, no, you can have it. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? Whatever. I'm eating his food. And then one day I got a wild hair and I'll go, hey, what's up, man? Can I come talk to you? He's like, yeah. What are you doing? Oh, man, I'm just writing. Oh, cool. What'd you do?
He's like me. You like filled him out and he won't give you the bit. You're like, hey, man.
He's like, I just murdered my wife. I'm like,
Oh, he didn't say that, did he?
oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
I just murdered her. I'm like,
I thought one of the rules was you never admit to guilt. You're like, I didn't do anything. Like, everyone was like, I didn't do anything.
he got caught red-handed. Like,
Wow. So he
like, he just sit there just like telling me, he's like, yeah, man, Eric, I have problems, anger, alcohol. And I'm like, I'm like,
murder.
Why are we laughing? But it is funny. Whatever. So I'm sitting there like, okay, so tell
Did
me
that
all about
scare you?
it. I let him, tell me all about it. So he told me, I don't think we need to get into details, but the man told me how he did it and what happened.
Premeditated?
Well, he was
Or
just
was
get
he drunk?
He just got tired of her. So fucked up.
Well, you better watch out.
Women don't know your husbands. No, so he murdered her and he
I thought that was
buried.
called divorce. Come on, man. Like, oh,
Yeah,
she's
so,
complaining again. Kill her. Honestly, I thought you were gonna be like, he had an alcohol problem. He got blacked out one night and lost his mind. Not.
I mean, I think that's kind of what happened though. Like he kind of was at a drinking problem and he lost his cookies and he went ahead and just fucking murdered her and he buried her in the backyard and he waited a couple days and eventually, shit got weird and he got caught and he was from a different county in the Panhandle. So rumor had it that woman's family were out to get him. And so there was supposedly death threats in that county jail. So he got transported to my county. He was just chilling, waiting to go to court. I mean, as we speak right now, that guy's still in prison, or he might be dead.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. But
was he an older guy or?
He was, I'd say, retired, 65-ish, maybe.
Isn't that crazy to think that while he did murder someone, he probably lives normally, a majority of his day, and you could have a peaceful conversation with him, and he was like civil, and it's, I guess, kind of wild that this guy could murder someone, but then also could just sit there and have a conversation with you and tell you about it, and kind of be like, "I made a mistake."
Absolutely, it is a really surreal experience to sit there with murderers and gangbangers and like these people I always avoided playing games with people. Like I didn't play poker,
like real games.
Like right, I didn't play poker. I didn't play dominoes with anyone. The only game I ever played with anyone was chess, locked up.
Is there a reason for that?
Because when you play people with chess, it's unusual to start fighting.
It's peaceful.
It's peaceful.
So the other stuff is like gambling.
Yeah,
and people get mad
all
and
of a
stuff.
sudden you can catch yourself getting in debt.
Yeah.
You can catch yourself getting people heated, and all of a sudden you're getting shanked with a spork.
So let's go back a little. You're waiting to get sentenced. You make friends with a murderer per se.
Sure.
Your time's up, and then you go.
So then the one day, middle of the night, I get someone knocks on my cell.
You have no idea it's coming.
They don't tell you, because think about it. They're about to transport you late at night, because what if you are, someone special
Wants to pull out and get you. Yeah.
And so your people can come and save you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just don't. That's still wild to me, considering a guy like you. Like, I stole $45 from a car wash. Like, people probably aren't going to come heist the van and you know what I mean. But
yeah,
you're not El Chapo. But
yeah,
okay,
right.
So,
and I remember. So
don't let me forget that story either.
Chapo.
Yeah.
Chapo. Noted. Duly noted. So. I should also interject that I had this guy that I went to school with. It was in jail with me. It was kind of incredible. I remember in 4th grade we got in a fist fight, and
like a high school classmate.
Like he was we graduated the same year. And I remember in 4th grade we got in a fist fight. Fast forward, how many years later, we're both in jail, and we're both heading to prison. And he was a gangbang. He was he had the M13 tatted
MS-13?
M13 on his arm. Like, he was that's what he repped.
They have the true question. They had that out in Guymon, or was he kind of like?
So I think that's a good question. I think he might have been he spent some time outside of Guymon.
Gotcha.
Because we don't tolerate that kind of shit out in the country. Like, we'll just beat the shit out of you if you think you're a gangbanger. Like, okay, you're a gangbanger? All right, let's see. Yeah. Whatever. So keep that in mind, that I'm not that and never proclaimed that. So anyways, there's a highway patrolman that transports us. So it's 4 grown-ass men in the back of his car, and there's this one guy that sits in the front. It was interesting, and he was like they picked him to sit in the front. He was a sex offender. I started learning things real quick. All of a sudden, people who do sex crimes are in protected custody. They never go with the.
How do you learn? How do you know that?
It's because like the guy next to me was like, "That fucker's a chomo," and I'm like, "What's a chomo?" Right. And if you have access to any of those men, it is your duty to
screw them up,
to mess them up, to either cut their face or do something like
really.
Well, you got to tag them, as they say. Wow. You got to tag them because we need to know what they did, because like you may not know because they'll lie to you.
You got to give them a little birthmark or something.
Exactly. Wow. So so I'm sitting in the back of this car.
That's crazy.
With 4 grown ass men, and I'm just like, all right. So this guy drives us all the way to Lexington.
You don't know where you're going?
Didn't have no clue.
Lexington, Kansas?
Lexington, Oklahoma. Whereas
what's in
a
Kansas?
maximum security prison. That's what's in there. That's what's in Lexington, Oklahoma. Check it out on Google next time.
I believe you this time.
So
you went to Max?
So mind you, this is how it works in Oklahoma. You get processed at the maximum security prison.
Everyone?
Everyone, every single person that gets sent off downstate, you got to get processed. So whatever county you're from, no matter what corner of Oklahoma, you go to Lexington maximum security prison. You get processed, meaning they take samples of your DNA. They do psych tests. They do, and so I go there, and when I arrive there, it like, whoa, like you're talking about guards up there with shotguns, 20 feet fences with razor wire, and you're just like, all of a sudden you're just like, oh, okay, I fucked up. What did I do? So I'm in there. So I go in there, and
but this is a short-term stay.
Yeah. This is not my home, but mind you though, that was the home for somebody next to me though, because their crime warranted that kind of security. So
probably the guy in the front seat, huh?
Probably. I mean that's a good question. I'm probably, but so we go in there, and man, that's crazy. I haven't really thought about this in a while. So we go there, and you do the shackle shuffle. You get out. You're shackled up, and then we're put in these cells, in these holding cells for a while, and we got thrown in these hot boxes. No, first you get shaved. This is what happens. You're in line, and they remove your stuff, and then there's something that happens. You're always showing guards your asshole. Pretty much always getting violated. You always got to show everyone your junk, your booty hole. Make sure you ain't keystering. That's what they say. Oh, did you keister this? And so that's your new life. And you sit down in the chair, and this guy just shaved me. I had long hair at the time, like I do now, but he shaves you. And I remember, so I got shaved when I got in there. I remember that I saw a guy mopping from a distance, and he had dreads that like went all the way to his back, and he was wearing grays. So think about that. So
you were in orange?
I was wearing orange, right? Because I was a fresh meat. I was a carrot, if you will. And so like I saw this guy mopping. I'm getting my head shaved by this guy, and I saw this guy mopping with dreads. So that means that he was there for a long time. So you're just like, okay. So we get shoved into these hot boxes. That's what they're called, man. And it's literally in the middle of like, think about this. Like it's like in the middle of the summer, or like kind of like around this. Yeah, it's just hot, man. And your cell is like, I kid you not, man. It's like 90 degrees in there. There's no air conditioning. You're dripping sweat. My cellie was another Hispanic, luckily. And he was like this skinny guy. He was whatever.
I'm gonna get flack for this one. Lindsay and I had some topic the other day, and I can't remember how we led to it, but talking about how our prisons, even though they're prisoners, they're not well taken care of, and they don't have proper living conditions. And I had said that I thought that most of them were air conditioned. I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this one wasn't, but it's just funny. You're like, no AC.
Just this one.
She's gonna win this argument. But anyways, so you're in the hot box.
So in the hot boxes,
you got another Hispanic fella.
Right, and this is 23 hours, 7 days a week, 1 hour recreation, and did this for months. And then
sentencing takes months.
You have to get processed.
Or excuse me, processing takes months.
There's so many people in there, and you're just you're a number. You're just a part of the assembly line.
But are you getting credit for time now?
No.
No way. No way.
I have not arrived to my yard.
What? You're it. Oh my God. That's.
Because you have to finish a program.
Oh my God. That's out of the. We've been talking for a while. Probably the hour 40 we've been talking. That I think is the most mind blowing thing. I get the county jail. Maybe county jail's a little different, but you're at Lexington the max, and it doesn't count.
Maybe they changed it now. Hope they did. But
Jeez.
so okay. I remember this. I I'm a reader. I'm a voracious reader, just so I don't lose my damn mind. And I didn't have access to books. That was fucking hard. So like all I did was like I'm doing dips, I'm doing push-ups, I'm like working out, and it got really weird, man. Like I recognize how people kill their cellmates. I almost want to murder this guy with me. Like he was just like I get it. Like
He was no good.
No, man. Like I yeah.
I thought it was funny the Instagram story, the comedians that were like, "You want a celly or you solo?" And you're like, "Oh, let me chime in." I was like, "Was that like the only guy who could really give some feedback?"
No, man, leave me alone. I'll be by myself. Like I can keep myself entertained.
So this guy, your celly sucked, huh?
Yeah, he sucked. He just didn't have any manners. He was always just burping, farting, like you're taking shits in front of this grown. Like it sucks, man. It's true. It's real. Like you make rules. Like you got to make listen, man. If you're gonna burp, like turn that way. Like it gets silly, but you're in an 8x10 cell.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
And that happened, and so man, I did see some crazy shit though too. Like I remember one time
At the max.
Yeah, so like you get up at 4 or something like that, and then like these guys they open your cell's open, and there's these guys that bring like a tray. You get in line and you get your food at like 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. You get your tray, and I remember.
Do you have to?
I mean, if you want to eat, like so I got up, I'm ready to go. I'm standing there in front of my door, always first. So this fucking guy would sleep in sometimes, and then I remember one time I saw these two men, like 6'5", like big guys. It was a black guy and a white guy. Black guy tells the white guy, "Were you the one banging on the wall?" White guy goes, "Huh? What do you mean? Were you the one banging on the wall?" "Man, I'm just chilling myself. Like, what are you talking about?" Black guy goes back and just hits him right in the face. Like I'm talking about, I could hear it, like, dude, this white boy fucking looked at him. He was like, "All right, that's all you got." It just replied. And this guy, like, his knees buckled, he fell down, and all of a sudden the SWAT team came in there. I'm like, oh shit. I grabbed my food. I went back to my cell. I shut the door of I start eating, watching, and the SWAT team comes there and just start just beating them up, and they handcuff both of them, and now they have tricked their time.
They've what?
This is the terminology they use. They tricked their time, meaning that they just say they were going to do a year because of that little incident. That's on. Just say you have a report card when you're locked up. That's a little check mark on your report card. That adds to your time, which is called tricking your time. That guy just tricked his time. And
hypothetically, what is that?
It means that he has to serve because they got in.
Well, I mean, time wise, like, what are we looking at there for a fight?
That's a really good question. So it depends on the severity of the injuries. This depends on what took place. Obviously, if you have a weapon, that's even worse. So it wasn't. It was just fist fighting. But that could be another additional 3 to 6 months. That could be an additional, or that could be me being a delayed sentence. Now gonna have a felony. So I was really conscientious. I was like, man, all the shit that I did when I was in juvie and all the shit that I did when I was in boot camp,
the games are over.
I can't play those games, right? So all right, there's a thing that I wasn't exposed to yet, politics, and now we'll get to there. So anyway, so I'm waiting. Then I get transferred from the hot box. I get transferred to this other unit. Now this unit was brand new. It looks clean. It was like, okay. It was, the fluorescent lights were brighter and it was air conditioned. So I don't know, 50-50. I don't think you're entirely wrong with the argument with you and your wife. But so I'm there. I don't know. I think entirely like I'm looking at like almost 6 months of time that I served that it wasn't counted, and then my program was another 6 months. So I'm looking at, you know,
How
so
you were only supposed to do 6 months.
so yeah, but like I think I was supposed to do. Now I don't think it was like 18 months. But I'll tell you what happened though. I got out early for good behavior. So
Original sentence was a year and a half.
18 months, yeah, give or
Okay.
take. Because remember, 5 years, 35%. You're looking at 18 months,
Okay.
right? So eventually,
Wait, you got 5 years?
well, because remember, you don't serve all that. Remember,
But is that what they gave you?
that's what they were suggesting. But I wasn't sentenced. Remember, it was a delayed sentencing.
Okay.
This is Eric, if you don't keep your nose clean,
They
this
kick
is
it at
this
that
is
point.
what
Okay.
you're getting.
Okay.
I know, right? It doesn't make any sense, but this
No.
is what happened. So I'm in this other unit, and I'm chilling, and I have this other like, I have a Caucasian fellow with me. He's kind of cool. I have no problem with him. He was a nice guy. I don't even remember what he did. I think it was just drugs. And I was just chilling with him. And this is the first time when we got out for chow, I had this one guy come up to me. He looked at me. He's like, "Hey, you." I think it was a black guy. He's like, "Hey, you essay? Excuse me? Are you an essay?" I'm like, "Essay? Like, are you like a vato? Are you like, oh, yeah, I'm Hispanic. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, that's good, man. It's good." I'm like, "Okay."
Did he think you might have been Native American? Or?
Oh, everyone thought at first. Some people did suggest that, but like not really because I didn't have my long hair. Remember, I was shaved by then. So, anyways, eventually, I get a package, and package says I was gonna go to Bill Johnson Correctional Facility. Mind you, I was supposed to go to a place called RID, which is Fort Supply, which is in the Panhandle. I was supposed to go to this minimum yard, but it was packed. So I had to go to this place called Overflow, meaning I was going to do time with like kind of like older dudes. I wasn't in RID was for younger offenders, which I heard is actually worse because you got a bunch of young testosterone.
They still maybe haven't learned.
They don't give a shit. They're tricking their time all day, as they say. So I go to. So anyways, I see my package. I'm like, there has to be a mistake. We don't make mistakes. I'm like, well, no. Why am I going to Bill Johnson Correctional Facility? And whatever. So
Bill Johnson's where?
Bill Johnson is located in Alva, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. I've driven through there.
Yeah.
And this is a minimum
yard. Right. Yeah. I lived there, by the way.
out.
Yeah.
You lived where?
In Alva.
When you got out?
No, while I was in the yard. So I get out, and it's the first time I've ever been on a prison bus. We do the shackle shuffle. You put on an orange suit. They put the handcuffs on you. They put a chain around your waist, and they put the shackles on your feet, and then you're connected to the guy in front of you. You're just, like I said, it's a shackle shuffle, like a little dance, and you're in there.
But you're looking forward to getting there
so
to
I'm
get out
like,
of Lexington, right?
So I'm like, yeah, my hands up in the sky, like I'm like, hallelujah, praise the Lord. So I can whatever. So
we got rights.
we have rights. So then, fine. I get in the prison bus, and it's just like the fucking movies. It was wild. There's a guy in the back with a shotgun. There's a guy in the front. It's cages, metal. You can hear clinking. You see these just scary looking people over here, and I'm just sitting there, and this bus they call it the Green Lizard. They do, because it's a green bus. Look it up. The Green Lizard, and it's just
Every prison calls it that?
yeah, that's what they call it. They call it the Green Lizard. So this sucker takes you all across Oklahoma, dropping off these inmates into the appropriate yard.
What a job.
This guy goes to this prison. This guy goes to this place. This guy goes over here, and then the last stop was Alva. It was me, and a handful of other. No. Oh wait, I went to RID. I went to that place I was supposed to go to. And I remember I was there they held me there for like 24 hours or 84 hours. But they're like, you can't stay here because it's packed. So they took me. So I waited there, and I was with a handful of people, including that one guy from Guymon. eventually we landed in our yard, and I was relieved. I was like, okay, here starts my time. And then it's this yard is Bill Johnson Correctional Facility is run like kind of like a boot camp.
Do you know much about other prisons in Oklahoma that you didn't go to, or no?
At the time, I was really privy with all of them because you heard about them, like Wackenhut or McAllister. You heard about all of them, but like this was like over. I'm 34. This was like 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Well, the reason I ask is because while you may have been in one of the prisons, I toured one in high school.
So funny you mentioned that. I remember feeling like a zoo animal, having these college kids come in there. They're studying psychology.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm just standing there, and they're looking at me like,
wait a minute.
And they're just like, they just look. I mean, they weren't like rude, but like you just curious, like, what do they think of you?
Yeah.
You
like
know,
the Spider-Man meme. It's like, wait, he's like me, like
right,
young, good-looking guy. Like, what are you doing here?
Right, and you're just looking at them, and I was always like, how does it feel to be in their shoes? But then it was like so far-fetched, but it wasn't. But it was. Anyways, so I arrived at this yard.
But the reason that made me think of what you said is we toured Taft, which is a minimum security outside of Muskogee.
Gotcha.
Prison.
That does sound familiar.
It's probably, I guess, similar style to yours. Like a few cells, but mainly open bunk.
Right. It's like a barracks, if you will. Like that's what we had, like a warehouse, if you will.
Yeah,
with
just
bunk
a shit
beds.
ton of bunks, little TVs at the end, tiny see-through TVs.
We did not have TVs.
They had some see-through TVs. I mean, they were smaller than this MacBook, but
gotcha.
Anyways, yeah, Taft.
Interesting. What year was that?
I graduated high school in 2009, so it would probably have been 2007 or 2008.
If it would have been really funny if you toured Alva in 2008.
Right,
because I would have been there.
Well, a lot of the so we took a class, a criminal justice class from our school resource officer, and a lot of the classes toward the big ones like state penitentiary, McAllister. For whatever reason, the semester that I took it or the year that I took it, we went to Taft, and still pretty mind blowing. But it was.
What was your first impression when you were there? Like.
Dude, I don't know. My first impression was probably like outside of being scared and outside of like if I say this, I was not scared, but I'm saying if I was to get sentenced to go to prison, obviously I'd be scared. And I think part of, and I mean, because you were there, so you could be like, Justin, you're wrong, or like those thoughts are wrong. Is because I just like if you're cool with me, I'm cool with you, and like, I don't want to have to fight anyone because of some bullshit, or I don't want to not talk to this guy because he's black, or have to worry about it. Or like, I don't want to, like I said, I want to talk to people all the time naturally. I feel like I would get caught up. Like you said, don't play dominoes and shit. It's like, I'm so like I want to be friendly and chat with everyone. Like, you want to play dominoes? Like, yeah, sure. And then it's like,
right.
Oh, look at me. But anyways, I guess first thoughts there is like, dude, this shit is run down. This shit is like depressing. Like, it looks like there's nothing to do here except try and stab people.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get why people start doing drugs. I get why people try to stab people or pick fights or whatever. Because I'm like, there's nothing to do here. It's a freaking wasteland. I'm not saying that prisoners should, have MacBooks and like,
right.
Pelotons, but like, shit, give them something. This sketchy ass TV in the corner, and then I was just like, that's a whole nother can of worms we could talk about. But I'm thinking there is nothing here. Like, I would go stir crazy if you gave me time and I didn't have a little something to do, and so eventually I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna do something because I'd rather do something wrong than just sit here all day. But
No, right.
and then they took us through like the sick and elderly ward, and then I was just like, man, could they just kill these people? Like if they would volunteer to do it, because they took us through the sick and old ward, I guess, or whatever.
Gotcha.
There was like 8 to 10 beds in there, and they said the oldest guy in there was like 99 or 101 or something.
Wow.
And it's like, just kill this guy respectfully, or give him the option, or let him go.
Assisted suicide.
At what, you know what I mean? At 101, I'm like,
It's still serving his time. That's wow. That's
like, unless he got sentenced like 2 years ago, like, how long has he been here? You know what I mean? Can we call it good? And
You're right. Like, hey, can you have at least one day out in the world free? Well, I don't know. It depends. You know, I don't know if he's there at a minimum yard. Clearly, the offense he committed wasn't. You know.
I'll tell you this quick story because it's one I heard, not lived, and then I'll let you get back. But they toured us around, 3 guys, like 3 prisoners, and maybe you can elaborate on this, but a lot of the guys in there, they said, were minimum guys, and on the back 9 of their sentencing, so like at Taft, there's not a lot of problems for the most part, they said.
Well, yeah, because think about it. Like,
they're almost out.
You're so close to freedom, you're going to keep your nose clean.
Yeah.
Because, right, like, whereas if you're doing 10, you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like,
well, these guys let us around. They let the guards lead you around on the tour, and then 3 of them, and they told their story and stuff. And then one of them was, I can't remember one guy's story. I just can't remember it. The other guy was a Hispanic fella, and he said basically was selling drugs to provide for his family, got caught up more than once, and it happened. And then, did however many years, whatever.
yeah.
But the white guy, I remember, and not just because, his story just stuck out and you'll know why. White dude, decent looking guy, younger looking guy, I don't know, maybe like late 20s or something. He said he's from Tulsa too. So he's like, just want to let you know that not every story is this and this and this, and as an Orthodox, but he said, man, I was a good kid in high school. He said, actually, after high school, I got a good job at Mathis Brothers, right? He's like, I was selling, furniture at 19, making good commission, good kid. And he's like, and I, played football, All-American fella, partied a little bit, drank a little bit, smoked a little bit. That's about it. He's like, 20th birthday, 21st birthday, something, being a kid, partying around, drinking and driving a little bit, and not the standard, like, hit somebody, kill them. He's like, we go to the gas station with some girls, and we go in there, and we go to get more beer or something, and there's this older guy in there. I don't know what older is, but he's an older guy, and we were drunk, and he was, like, talking shit to us, said something, and we're young punks, and he's like, wanted to show off in front of these girls. So we're like, old man or whatever, meet us outside.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk shit to us. And however that transpired, they like jumped this guy or beat this older man up.
Right.
Drop him. He hits his head on the concrete and he dies.
Oh, it's like an involuntary manslaughter.
Something of the sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
They hit him, and he was like, man, I had no intention of killing anyone. We just want, you're right. He's like, I just wanted to, rough this guy up and be a drunk 20-year-old.
Right.
Drop this guy. He like starts seizing, like loses it. Like they call the ambulance. He comes in, comes out. He dies, and that's it. Now he didn't go away for life, but obviously his life is ruined.
And that's the thing, though. That's all it takes.
I know.
That's all it takes. And so.
Sounds cliche and corny, but
yeah.
I thought about that story when people all the time are like get into a fight, and I'm thinking, hey, especially when you're drinking, I feel like if you're sober, you're like, and you're pissed off at the end, you could be like, it's good, it's square, like you may be mad, whatever, walk away. But when you're drunk, you're just like, I'm gonna hit this guy with a bottle, you know what I mean? It's
right,
like,
right.
Freaking, someone could just die like that, and then you're like, wow, I just killed someone, and it wasn't even worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how many times I heard that kind of story.
Really?
I mean, I wouldn't say a handful, but I would say a couple times I heard a story like that.
While you were in?
Yeah.
More than once?
Like at least more than once. I'd say a couple times, at least two, where, you know, it was an involuntary manslaughter where, you know, guy got punched, guy splits his head open on the concrete, something to that effect.
Yeah.
You know, and and that, you know, all those little stories that these people told me were just like something that I made sure to remember when I got back out. Because this time that I was doing was really hurting. It was hurting. It was hurting a lot. It was exposing me a whole different side of it that I didn't experience, because once I arrived at the yard, I remember this. I won't forget this. I remember I had to stand in front of my bed, my foot locker, and I was standing at the position of attention, and there was a staff member. Mind you, this prison was run like a boot camp, so I've already done Thunderbird. So I kind of had this. I had this wherewithal with what we're doing here. So like, you know, this drill sergeant was like kind of going down and just kind of staring at people, making sure we stand still. And this big old tall white guy looking at me with, I kid you not, he had like swastikas on his like collarbones. He had lightning bolts up here and on the side of his neck, and he had in the middle of his throat peckerwood. And he looked at me, and I just looked at him, and he was like, "Hey, what's up?"
Went better than I thought.
I'm like, "Hey." He's like, "Oh, dude, don't worry about all this. This is just white boy pride. You Mexican?" I'm like, yeah, Hispanic, yeah. He's like, "Okay, well, when we're done with this, your people's over there." I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, man. But nice to meet you." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I feel bad. I don't know his name, but he told me his name and everything, and he was always sweet. Really? He was always nice to me. Yeah, he was. So like, you know, but like he pretty much was like, "Go with your people," and so I'm like, okay. So
I heard that a lot.
Yeah. So bam, this is done. We have we go outside. It's recreational time. So I go outside, and then they're like, "I'm the newbie, fresh meat." There's a truckload or a busload that came. So I go up there, and so all of a sudden I'm hanging out with all the Hispanics, and then they just kind of give me like my orientation, you know. So yeah, I know you got to do with, you know, follow the rules of the facility, but you got to follow our rules first. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I learned really quick that, you know, the whites stay with the whites, the blacks stay with the blacks, the Hispanics stay with the Hispanics, and then you have the natives. They have their own thing. And I remember that it was like we're together. So you have gang. So they asked me the first thing. They're like, first they want to see your papers. They want to see like what you done, because they want to make sure you're not a chomo.
Yeah.
Like what you do.
Because then they cut your ass out.
Oh yeah. First of all, like if you are some sort of like a sex offender, like you're an idiot to be there. First of all, you shouldn't be messing with kids. So first of all, but that's understood. But the second thing you shouldn't be doing is you should request to be in protective custody. That's what they typically do. So you have a yard full of those people.
Yard full of creeps.
Yeah, yard full of creeps. But so they just want to make sure that you know what kind of crime did you do, where you come, what's your background, and they're like, where are you from? And I'm from the Panhandle, man. What you rep? I'm like, well, I don't rep anything. Like, well, what's your handle? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do they call you? Eric. I mean, usually they call me Loya. Like, that's the default. That tends to be the default. Loya. Like, okay, we'll figure out a name for you. I'm like, don't. Like, just call me my name. And they're like, man, whatever. And so you have gangbangers and you have non-gangbangers that are Hispanics, but we're together. But we still have to follow a different set of rules, because we're not gangbangers, but we're still with these, you know. But we have to adhere to certain things.
But this umbrella.
Sure. And you just start seeing like how organized some people are, how disorganized some, you just start noticing things, and people are doing drugs in prison, guys. People are smoking tobacco, and you're smoking weed in lockup. And guess what? I remember getting drug tested like 3 or 4 times while I was there. I was sober. I was like, I'm not gonna, add time to myself. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do not to get in trouble.
Yeah, I'm trying to bounce.
Right. So I recognize this interesting thing. Like, I think what occurs in prisons and the prison culture all over the country is a microcosm of what kind of happens out here in the macrocosm, whether we like to admit it or not. We may not be completely segregated, but we kind of are, especially economically.
Oh yeah.
Think about Tulsa. Look at the infrastructure, how it's made, it has laid out, and like where what types of people where they're at.
Yeah.
So
well, you see all those memes about it too, right?
Oh my gosh,
They're funny, but they're funny because they're accurate.
Exactly. So, I remember I would get in trouble for talking to white folks.
Really?
I remember there's one kid I know, I just by looking at him, I'm like, this guy jams. Hey man, you jam? He's like, yeah. What do you jam? Like, I'm a drummer. What really? What you play? I got a Pearl. Cool. What you got, man? I jam on the guitar, man. I was in a screamo band. I was like, I know it. And they're like, Holmes, what's up, Holmes? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking to that white boy, man? This fucker listens to good music, not like you. Oh, all right, Holmes, you gotta come out here, man. You need to get corrected. And they would take you to court.
What?
They mean they would beat the shit out of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They like, if you messed up, you got out of line, you got your ass whooped. And if you didn't fight back, meaning you lacked dignity, they beat the shit out even worse. And so like
So it's best to defend yourself?
Oh, you better defend yourself, because there's no like.
Is it 1-on-1 or they like?
No, it's like 2 or 3.
They just give you a good licking.
Like, yeah, and the head honcho just sits there and just watches for a while. It's like typical. I remember one time it happened to me at a church. So the church is run by the inmates, right? So you go to church.
Damn.
And the guardian.
Can't even go to church.
No. God's not there to protect you. You got to protect yourself. Yeah, so
God said I got rights.
I got rights.
Dang, that sucks. I thought that was like the one safe place.
Yeah, you'd think that. And so you go to church and like, so somebody's like running the church. It's inmates running the church. And you know what people do? People mind their own business. If you see another race taking care of one of their boys,
yeah, what do you?
You ain't looking. You're just like, hallelujah. You're over here praising the Lord. So I remember one time,
damn,
that happened to me. Like, I don't know. I just fucked up and I didn't listen to.
Pull up the church to get your ass whooped.
Yeah, I was like, Eric, you gotta go to church. I'm like, I never went to church.
So you knew.
They told me, yeah. They're like, hey, you
go to church to get your ass whooped. Oh my god.
I never.
Freaking prison. And this is a minimum. Oh my
it's a
god.
minimum, yeah. And so
no one's ever said the sentence that I just said.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And maybe outside of the system. Yeah, I'm gonna go to church to get my ass whooped. Wow.
And so I remember going there and knew it was coming.
Are you scared, or are you more just like, I gotta get through
No,
this?
I'm annoyed. Like, I'm just so fed up with the politics. I'm so fed up with the bullshit. I'm like hanging out with these, like, I in my philosophy with, and hopefully I don't hang out and see any gangbangers, but I just knew that half of them, or more than half, are a bunch of pussies. Like, you ain't hard. Like, I knew I was harder than them, but I'm like, I didn't, like.
You didn't have the pull?
I didn't have, yeah, like, I just didn't, like. I mean, I'm here to do my time.
Yeah.
I did my crime on my own. Let me do my time. These guys over here tricking their times at a bunch of pride and ego and foolishness and nonsense. And so I was just
kind of like a miserable work environment. Like, hey, I'm here miserable. I'm gonna bring you down. Like no, I'm here to work and get paid. You know.
Listen, I love that analogy. I'll give you a better one. It's like a bucket full of crabs. You know, crabs keep bringing other crabs down. They won't ever let, they can't get out of that bucket. And so I just remember this happening. And I remember there was a new kid, fresh meat, and his duty was to beat my ass. And I knew when this was happening.
Mexican guy?
Yeah,
or
right.
Hispanic guy?
Right. Yeah, right. Hispanic guy, Mexican guy.
Wait,
and so,
what?
So he's fresh meat, right? Remember, if they give you an order, you got to do it.
Oh. Okay.
Right. So if this
so
order,
giving him a dirty task.
Exactly. And guess what? This kid just had the same kind of sentencing that I had, meaning like, don't get in trouble. You go home. Anyways, I go to the church this time, and I have this big old guy, and I have him. He's about my height, give or take. And I'm like, okay. And there's 2 guys against 1, so I'm fighting both of them. And in the first time I get hit in the face, I drop. I get back up. and I'm fighting both of them, and then I get dropped again, and then I get up, and then the third time they dropped me, I didn't get up. I just couldn't. So I knew the bigger guy was the biggest problem. So I remember this clear. I grabbed his nuts. I grabbed his nuts as hard as I fucking could. And this other guy was hitting me, but like his heart wasn't in it. You know, like I knew like he didn't want to. So I wasn't really worried about him.
You grabbed this dude's package?
I mean, like obviously through his pants.
Yeah.
And I'm holding on tight, and he just like he was punching my face, and he was like punching my by the time he was punching my arm, and I just squeezed, and then the head honcho goes, "All right, enough." And then he was like, "Oh," and I just looked at him. I was like, "Yeah, fuck you." Like I'm still fighting while I'm down, right?
Yeah, I'm talking to the boss after that. I'm like, "Hey, boss, man, I'm not fighting. They're grabbing me though."
Yeah, just whatever it takes, you know. And so after that, I had to run outside and play soccer. Hear me out.
Okay.
I went outside and started hitting the ball, and I fell over and over again. I was falling because I wanted the cameras to see me fall. So whenever at nighttime, when you take off your clothes and you're just wearing your drawers, and when the staff members check your body for marks.
Why are you bruised?
So.
Did that work?
I mean, they know.
Right. But did it work for the paper?
But so for me though, and this is the thing though, I ended up, for some reason, some of these staff members ended up liking me, and some didn't. But
they check you every night for bruises.
Of course, man. They make sure like they look at your fist, make sure your
every night,
make sure like you, because like if my face is all beat up and the guy over there, his knuckles are all messed up, like all right,
you're doing some math there.
Yeah, they're you know. So they check me out there. They took me in a room. Like, what happened? I was like, I was playing soccer. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you fell down and your head became the soccer ball, right? It's not off, but and they're like, Loya, what the fuck you doing here? Excuse me. Why? Like, I don't understand why you're here. Like, and like that conversation occurred so many times, and I failed to like have those. I failed to share that with you. In Hooker detention, I had a staff member that was like, "What are you doing here?" In Woodward detention, I had a staff member, "What are you doing here?" I'm over here now in this fucking prison. Like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I don't know, but I don't want to be here anymore. He was like, I hope not, because the odds are against you. You guys leave, but you guys tend to come back. That's the truth. That's the math. Like, you know. So I eventually got out of like that house. There's like you're in like this, I don't know how to call it, like a company, and then you go to like the other, we have more freedoms. It's not so regiment. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting a job. I became I was on the ironing crew, and the politics still exists, but it's not as crazy. Is there like, do we need to stop? I mean, I can go for hours, bro. That's probably the problem.
No, we could I'd probably say the next 20 minutes. Okay, 25 cool. minutes, and then
we can wrap it up. We'll do part 2. And I remember just like I was in a different space now. I kind of had a job, and it's kind of funny, like the little things that bring like happiness to people are silly. Like, so this guy was like, "Hey man, my wife's coming. Can you put this crease on my suit?" I'm like, "Here, I'll give you a couple stamps." I'm like, "Sure." You just do a crease on this guy's thing, just like he asked, and you give him, "Oh, it's perfect, dude." You put some starch on there, and I remember I had an iron, and that was my iron because I'm in the iron crew, and that was really useful to the team because like people would be like, "Hey, let's do a spread," and if you don't know what a spread is, this is what a spread is. You get a like 5 bags of chips. And you consolidate them in one bag, and you crush them, and you get boiling water, and you pour it in there, and then you leave it in the bag. It's a big old rectangle, right? When you flatten it out, and you kind of like create a dough, and then you get a bag of beans, and you get your iron, and you heat up the beans on the bag of beans, and then you open it up. You open up the chip bag, and you pour the beans on top of this like this thing you created, and then you put some cheese on top of it, and you made a spread. That's a birthday cake.
Oh my gosh.
That's a little meal that you guys can eat and share with your peeps. And so like, just little things you do to feel somewhat normal in these spaces and places.
Did it actually taste good while you were there?
I mean, dude, like the food was shitty, so anything. I mean, tuna was
like could you imagine yourself eating that right now?
Nah.
But then it tasted.
But
good.
then it was Then you're just like, because the food was horrible. I was always getting constipated with the state food. It was that bad. Like,
what is it?
Just a bunch of carbs. Not that much protein. They can't afford it.
Just to keep you alive.
Yeah, pretty much. Just to keep you alive. A bunch of
what's
carbs.
cheaper, bread or chicken?
Exactly.
A dinner roll versus chicken strips, or
exactly a bunch of coffee bread. I remember that. Coffee cake. I remember eating a lot of.
That's scary. It's kind of like our freaking public education food.
The similarities between prison and school are eerie.
Yeah,
they're just so eerie. To be honest with you, they're just so eerie. So
I remember seeing an article that for a lot of and it makes sense. I think compared to a lot of other places in the world, we're lucky to have free education and food at school. But
sure,
it said basically you have to hit a calorie count.
Yeah.
For a meal at lunch, and I get it, but what's the easiest way to hit a calorie count? Like 2 pieces of pizza, or like grilled chicken breast and some broccoli. That would take like quadruple the amount. So once again, back to like an economic view, it's hard. So
exactly.
We already demand so much food be produced anyways, but the food sucked.
The food sucked. I remember when I had the ability to buy things for my commissary, I would get peanut butter.
Real peanut butter? Or?
It was a cheap ass peanut butter, but man, I would eat it. I would go get a big old gob of it, put it in my mouth, just like I had to get a couple a week. I did not let my family visit me, by the way.
You said no?
I said no. I told them if you drive out here, I refuse. I was doing my time. I didn't want to see them. I didn't want them to see me.
Did that devastate them? You get phone calls?
Yeah, I did that. No.
Or letters?
No,
or
I did.
Both?
Oh, I did phone calls. I did letters. Yes, please write me. I it's crazy. I did have quite a bit of like my peers write me, friends, not a lot of guys. The one that wrote me all the time was my sister, my sibling. My sibling just was always there. Like that's like my best friend. So she was always writing me. It's crazy. I still know some of these females that wrote me. They're following me on Instagram. It's funny.
High school friends or?
Yeah, high school friends that would just write me letters and stuff. And had one the other day was like, "Hey, this song came on and made me think of you when you were locked up." I was like, "Okay, jeez, can't you think of me like in a different like?"
It's been a while. Come on.
It's like 12 years, but
How long did you end up doing?
So no more about a year altogether.
But still a hard time.
I mean, it ain't fun, but I'll tell you that. So
you got no time added.
So no. So I did not know when I was gonna get out.
Is that common?
Well, what I'm getting at is that I got out a little earlier, and I didn't know. Like I wasn't warned. It's just one day.
That's a nice surprise.
It's a beautiful surprise. I'm not mad about it at all. But it was crazy because like they're like one of the guards are like, "Hey," and threw me a sack, a big old clear sack, and I know what that means. And I'm like,
"No,
what is this?" He's like, "Get your shit." I'm like, wait, why? You're going to court. I'm like, "Well, for what?" He's like, "You're getting out." I'm like, "What?" And he was a staff member that liked me. He was just
so he had some intel.
He knew what's up, and so he comes in. He's like, and so I started putting all my stuff in like my bag. I was like putting it all in, and then I remember just seeing like the hombres orbiting around me.
Good or bad?
Like just like because remember I am an hombre too, but just like the gangbangers and the raza as they say, they were just like they're like one of the gangbangers that didn't like me. He's like, you're coming back, and I was just like.
Did you?
Yeah, and so once you did that, like if I ever came back,
flipped him off. By the way.
Okay. So like he looked at me like, oh shit, like you just flipped me off, like, and I'm like, and like because it's like how I felt. I just could never express that.
Yeah.
And
until today,
because I knew I was getting out. So all of a sudden they're like looking at me like I'm like, what the hell? Anyways, I got all my shit in this bag, and I waited at the front. And I got out. I was in this room, and then I thought a prison bus was going to pick me up. No, it wasn't. It was a van.
And they take you where?
Took me back to Texas County courthouse.
Oh, they took you back home.
They took me back to Guymon. So I went back to Guymon.
Is that common? Is that usually usually how it goes?
I mean, that's the court that sentenced me.
Well, pardon me for being ignorant. I am, but
Innocently ignorant.
On the movies, they open the gates and it's like, what do I do now?
Right.
Like,
Right. But mind you, though, this was like, again, this weird ass program that I was in as a
and
delay.
family and friends had no idea you were out.
Based on what I was told, my attorney, my public pretender, he told my parents. He's like, yeah, I guess Eric's getting out. So they knew, but they didn't say anything to me either. Oh. They wanted it to be kind of like a surprise. So anyway, is
that still the best surprise of your life?
This is such a weird thing to admit. I was so like annoyed because I did not know what was going on. I was so annoyed. I was like, what the fuck's going on? What's going on? What are y'all playing with my emotions? What's going on?
Well, yeah.
And so like, and the obviously the transport officer didn't have a clue. And so like I arrived at the court and my attorney go in a separate room and he goes, look who's out. And I look at him like, what the hell's going on? He's like, are you okay? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm okay. But what's going on? I was like, hey, you're about to get out. And I'm like, oh shit. I know why I'm tripping. I'm scared. I'm so scared. I'm scared of the freedom. I'm afraid. I'm afraid because like, all right, I'm out. How long till I come back?
You thought you were going back?
Like, no, because. So I remember when I was in there, and I failed to tell you this. I remember that I created like a dream board. I created a path. I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. I created a dream board. I'm like, all right, well, what I'm gonna do is when I get out, I'm going to work. I told myself I was going to work at the oil field or something like that. And I'm going to work, save my money. I'm going to buy this car. And when I buy this car, but I'm going to try to go to college. And then I'm going to play with the band again. I'm still on that. And then
still searching.
Yeah, I still want to be in the band. And then I'm going to date hot girl. I'm going to date model chicks. I swear I wrote those shit, all this shit on this dream board that I had. And I'm going to travel the world. I'm gonna live overseas one of these days. Anyways, I arrived at Guymon. I'm having that conversation with my attorney, and I kind of like, wait, stop. Like, you're about to get out. Whatever. I got to put my clothes on, so I put my clothes on, which I haven't put my clothes on in like over a year.
Are you in grays or oranges? Or?
I'm in grays. And I put my clothes, and I'm like, the scent of the cologne is like vaguely there, but like, holy shit, this is so crazy. My Adidas, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's just like these little simple things. You're just like, wow. And then I see my parents there. This is surreal. And then the judge is like, the DA is like, hey, well, Eric, good job. You didn't get any markups. So what we're going to do is we're going to sentence you now. So now I'm getting sentenced. And we're going to give you a deferred sentencing for like 5 years.
Is that probation?
Sure. Yes. It's like paper time. I'm going to do my time in the world. Keep your nose clean. I mean, there's more to that, but
yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I just remember like getting in my it was my mom and dad that picked me up and had a pickup truck. And then he goes, hey, just get in the cabin. I'm like, nah. I'm going to get in the back of the pickup truck. So I jump in the back of the pickup truck and...
Like the bed?
Yeah, the bed of the truck, yeah. And so he pulls out of the courthouse and we go down Main Street and I'm just sitting there and just like the air is hitting me and I'm like, holy shit. Like, what have I just been through? Like, this is so crazy. Like, it was just like, did I really go through all this? Like...
It felt like a dream, or
it was just
a blur.
So surreal. Yeah, it was like a nightmare, and someone just shook me up. And then I got home, and like a little bit of like negativity started kicking in. I'm like, fuck, I'm back home, and then I'm back in my twin bed, like where I grew up at. And I'm like, wait, just stop. I didn't leave my house for like 2 weeks. I didn't tell anybody I was free. I kept it to myself because I was like, who am I? What am I doing? What is going, like, just chillax. Just wait. The only thing I did do is I went to the store, like incognito, like put a hat on, whatever, and bought paint. I went back to my house and painted my room. I remember that so clearly. And it just gave me time to just chill. And I just chilled and I wrote and I just kind of like read all my letters and I read all my notes. And then I was like, okay, I got to get a job. I went to all the places I used to work at. I went to the Mr. Burger. They didn't even give me a job.
They knew.
They knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Subway. They didn't give me a job. I went to Sonic. They wouldn't give me a job. I even went to McDonald's and one of the managers knew about me and they're like, "Yeah, I have pressure to hire him." All of a sudden I'm like, and I didn't even tell my parents this. Like I was just trying to find a job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, like my reputation still is lingering. Like, how the hell I'm like economically ostracized right now. What am I supposed to do? And I was looking at oil companies. Oil companies were not really hiring at that moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? Guess what I did? I applied to the slaughterhouse. The same slaughterhouse my mom and dad work at. You want to talk about being humbled? But the thing about it is, like, I just got out. I've been locked up. Like,
right.
I don't have. There's no ego here, man. There's no ego here. You got to do what you got to do. So I went ahead and applied. And hey, they'll give people who got out of prison jobs. That's for sure. So they gave me a job in export. Yeah. So I started working in export, meaning that I got the final product, the boxes, and I was just loading. I was a loader. I was just loading freight. And
Slaughterhouse still open today?
It's, man, that thing never closed down even during COVID, bro.
Yeah, I bet it did not.
Yeah, they don't care. So I keep going. Okay, so I'm working here, making decent money, and I am just laying low, bro, laying low. And then 4 months working at the slaughterhouse, I was like, dude, I'm not better than this guy in front of me. I'm not better than this immigrant that's working at this slaughter. I'm not better. I just know I can do better. So I decided to go down the road, 10 miles down the road, to a town called Goodwell. Goodwell, there's a 4-year university that resides in Goodwell called Oklahoma Panhandle State University, OPSU.
I have heard of it.
It's the only university that resides in a town that has not one single stoplight. And it's cheap as hell. So I go down there and I'm like, anyways, I'm down there. I'm like kind of lost. It's not that big of a campus, but I'm like, okay, what do I do? I see this big old guy, this older fellow, Caucasian fellow, walking towards me. He looks like a professor, huh? Wearing a polo shirt, slacks, boots, typical Okie. Hey, where's the bursar's office? He's like, oh, it's over there. And he said something else to me, and I don't know, I made him chuckle. And he's like, hey, we should have lunch. And I'm like, and then I was like, I'm not gay. And he laughed. He's like,
did you say that?
Yeah. And he's like, I really want to have lunch with you. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, wait, I should probably have lunch with this guy. Could be an ally. Anyway, so I go do that. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So I meet him. A couple of days later, I meet him lunch. Meet him at the Red Dragon at the Chinese buffet in Guymon. And we meet up, and I walk in, and I see him. He gets up again, polo shirt, slacks, boots. And then I notice a badge and a gun on his person. I'm like,
I'm getting played.
I'm like, what the fuck? I leave. He chases me.
You leave.
He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, am I under investigation? He's like, huh? Am I under investigation? What are you talking about? Am I under investigation? Do you know who the hell I am? I'm Eric Loya. It's like, everybody, all your homies already arrested me. Like, am I under investigation? If I'm not, you can talk to my attorney. I haven't done anything. And he goes, Eric, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Will you please come back in here and talk to me? And I'm like, wait, I'm not? He's like, Eric, I'm a special agent for the State Bureau of Investigations. You have not been in my radar. And I'm like, what do you mean? What the hell? What? And he's like, will you please come back in here? And I'm like, no. Eric, have you committed murder? No. Have you committed any white collar crimes? No. Have you committed any sexual crimes? No. Okay, you have not been in my radar. Will you please come back in here and eat with me? I begrudgingly did it. So I went back in there with him, and I sat down, and my appetite was gone. And I looked at him. He looked at me. He's like, "Okay, listen, I met you at the campus. I don't know what's going on. Can you please explain?" He's like, "Dude, I'm pretty much on parole right now. Like, I'm working at the slaughterhouse. I just got out of lockup 4 months ago, and I'm at the campus trying to, like, I need to do something in my life, but I don't know how I ran into you." He's like, "All right, if I tell you what was going on, will you be cool with me?" Sure. I was on the campus investigating a rape case, and on my break, I bumped into you. Whether it was divine intervention or I was supposed to meet you, and here we are. With your permission, can I do a background check? You're going to do it anyways. Eric, with your permission, I have my rights. With your permission, can I do a background check? I'm like, fine. Okay. Bless you. All right. And so, I want you to come to my office and I'll meet you in a couple of days. And I'm like, whatever. So I did it. His office was not connected to the Guymon Police Department. His office was connected, like, over here, yonder, somewhere over here.
Yeah, kind of off on his own.
Yeah, because he's a special agent for the State Bureau. So he's over here. And so I go to his office, and he has a file. And this is Eric Loya. And he goes like, "Oh, shit, this is you." Mugshot with a mohawk from my senior year. Because all the football players had mohawks. Yeah. And so I'm over here with the kick-ass mohawk on my mugshots. I need to get that picture. And then he was like, "Oh, you did this? Oh, you gave this cop a hard time?" He's just like chuckling, like looking at my record. I'm like, "Dude, this is not funny." And he looks like, "Hey, you know what I think we can do? I think we can do something here." I'm like, "What do you mean we?" Like, why are we at the university? "I don't know, man. I need to get educated. I need to get some skills. I need to do something because I'm going to sit there and boxes. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here being a loader at the slaughterhouse." He's like, okay. Well, just keep thinking about what you want to do, and then we'll figure it out. And I'm like, okay. Well, anyways, a couple months later, I worked there for by month 6, I'm like, I got to do something. So I took one English course in the summer while I was working at the slaughterhouse, one English course to see if I can do it. And the professor took an interest in me as well. So he took me out to lunch one day. He was like, "Hey, how can I convince you to become a full-time student?" And, I'm like, sell me now. So all of a sudden I have the old dude. I call him the old dude. That's the special agent. That's how I refer to him because that's how I called him. And the old dude had him. Then I had this professor kind of like, dripping on me. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know what it is. I just had like the courage, like, to, all right, let's take a chance. So I put my 2 weeks notice. My whole family was against it, by the way. My family was like, "Don't, like, what are you doing? No, you need that job. What are you doing going to college? That's not shit for you. That's for other people. Stay in your lane." I was like, I can't. Like, I got to do something. And then the old dude goes, so he also introduced me to other people. Like, just other people just, like, like, it became like a handful of fellows that just kind of just kept pouring in me. And then one day, it's like a couple weeks before school starts, and he goes, "Hey, I need to take you out here." He takes me out there. He takes me to the little town, and he goes, "Hey, you see that duplex? Rent's paid. Here's some money. Go be a full-time student." I broke down, bro. I'm like, what? Yeah, man. Don't worry about rent. I want you to focus on your education because you'll never get this opportunity again. I'm 20 years old. And I look at him, I'm like, yeah, I'm over here bawling, dude. I'm like, wait, why are you doing this? Why are you helping me? And he's like, "Eric, when I was your age, I had a handful of men that pour into me to help me out. Whether it was for my gas money, or was it socially, spiritually, some maybe help me with my, my books in school."
Yeah, contribute in some way.
These men were in a position of power. And they told me that whenever I got into a position of power, I'm supposed to pay it forward. This is my opportunity. Now, you have a responsibility, though. Whenever you're in a position of power, you need to pay it forward. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. Became a full-time student. I'm sitting in class, wait, 6 months ago, I was locked up. Now I'm over here doing English and college algebra
Comp
and,
1,
and
Comp
comp
2.
1, comp 2, and like I just couldn't believe it. And then there's a lot that went on there. That was like
Sure.
the most. I took it so serious. That was like my high school,
Yeah. You got
if you will.
a new chance.
Correct. And like, all right. And
This was at Panhandle State.
in the Oklahoma Panhandle State. So all of a sudden, I have a duplex with 2 bedrooms. So I have a bedroom for me, and in the other bedroom, I created a music room. I still have that drum set. I started collecting more instruments. I started connecting with more students. I started meeting more musicians. Before you knew it, I had an assembly line of musicians coming into my house. Before you knew it, I was able to recruit some musicians. And before you knew it, I was performing in my backyard and throwing parties. And this band that I created, they became popular. All of a sudden, I'm playing shows at venues. I'm playing shows in Texas. I'm playing shows in New Mexico. I'm playing shows in Colorado. I'm playing shows in Kansas.
I don't think I knew that.
I know. Never shared this with you. And all of a sudden, like, I'm a full-time student, playing the drums, banging shows out. Like, it was surreal. This is all the things I wanted to do. I ended up making it a successful kind of business.
Yeah.
I was selling merch. I was using Facebook ads at 2009, 2010. I was using Facebook ads. I remember one time I would get kegs from Kansas, because it's 6 Point beer, bring into Oklahoma, and I'd have cowboys that would be my classes, and I saw their trailers with cattle fence, like, hey, bring your cattle fence through my property, because I was off the campus, and the campus was a dry campus. And so I threw a party and had alcohol there. I monopolized on these parties, and I would like make people like, hey, these are special cups for these bands, and I make people pay for it. I got to the point that I started hiring sound guys.
Nice.
And all of a sudden, I'd be throwing gigs with like hundreds of people there, crowd surfing, liking my band. I remember one time I'm like jamming out, and the song finishes, I'm hitting cymbals, bam, this cop smacks me in the back. Hey, Eric, I just saw. Remember, cops don't have anything to do. They're bored. Yeah. Hey, Eric, I just saw some people fighting on your property. I'm like, fucking arrest them. Do your job. I'm playing a show. All of a sudden, these cops are now my friends. All of a sudden, Morgan influenced these policemen to protect me. Before you know it, I was able to change my reputation like 360, dude. It was so crazy because I remember getting like messages from people on Facebook like, hey, I knew who you were when you were in high school. Now I met you when you're in college, and you are completely different. I got those all the time. It was such a cool feeling. And then I got really involved with the school. I did all that jazz. And then after a while, and then one of my girlfriends that I started dating there was a model. Nice. It was like, whoa, like you can really, if you, I don't know about, oh, you got to manifest it and this and that. No. You got to put the work in. Yeah. But what you really want, you can get it. And then I was like, okay, like it got weird, man. Like too many good things were happening to me. It made me feel weird. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I was like suspicious of like everything going on. And then eventually I needed a kind of a break. I was like, okay. So remember, I was supposed to do paper time because I was able to acquire an associate's degree in 2 years. So I studied biology for the first 2 years. So I got a biology and associates, and then I was like thinking about maybe going the medical field, like maybe, I don't know, physical therapy or some bullshit. I don't know what I was gonna do. Excuse me. I was confused. I was like, wait. The old dude was like, yo, let's go to court and see if we can get you off probation. Huh? Let's give it a shot. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm gonna get an attorney. So he got an attorney to do pro bono. Nice. And then he goes, okay, so old dude had lunch with old dude had breakfast with the DA, and he had lunch with the judge. And at 1:30, it was my court. And I mean, The DA said some bullshit. The judge said some bullshit. And they looked at me like, yeah, we should just let him go. And I looked at them, and that was it. I was done.
Isn't that wild?
And I was like, wait, what? That's it? I was supposed to do 5, and I only did like 2.5 or whatever, something like that. And then, like I said, I was feeling really, really weird because I was like, I never felt so much like goodness, if you will. And I kind of told the old dude, I was like, yo, I think I need to leave. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, I need to finish my undergrad and everything, but I think I need to leave. Like, where are we trying to go? Like, I'd like to go to Mexico, but they're killing people out there, so probably not. I mean, I could go to Chicago, but I want to go to Europe. He looked at me, he's like, Europe? He's like, yeah, I want to go to Europe, and I found a city that I want to go to. It's called Granada, and it's in South Spain, and I just want to do it. And this is my suggestion. Will you pick me up when I'm ready to come back home? He looked at me like, you want to go to Spain? You know for how long? But you want me to pick you up when? He's like, okay. He was like, I'm gonna lie to you, like you're my boy. It's kind of sad, but I understand you need to leave the nest because I can't leave the country.
Yeah.
Now I could. That's one thing I didn't finish on my bucket list. I haven't traveled the world yet. So I was like, fuck it.
It's hard.
Yeah. So that's what I did. So I decided to go, and I went and lived in Granada. I lived with a Spanish family, and I went up down the road, and I applied to the Universidad de Granada, and I became a full-time student in Spain, and I sat there and chopped it up with other Americans that were studying abroad, and like, where are you from? I'm like, from Oklahoma.
Let me tell you.
And I don't think I told a soul.
But most of them were probably from bigger cities, right?
Yeah, they're bigger cities. They're like, kids that just, like some people are, privileged kids or not, not all of them are privileged. I'm just saying, like, you just college kids studying abroad.
Yeah.
People living their lives. And I was just like, wow, this is what people do. Like, this is what other parts of society does. And I got to travel all Europe. I got to go to Portugal, UK, Ireland, Gibraltar, and just like backpack Europe, and just like, I don't know. It was like a new chapter in my life where I kind of got to like rid of some of the residue that I don't know what it was. It was just necessary.
Yeah, you did like a complete 180.
Yeah, and I just kind of sat there, and I'm not gonna lie. This is a true story. I know. Remember when I was in county and I was the guy in his cell with his drawers, reading a book with a coffee in his hand? I swear to you, I remember sitting in one of my jail cells, telling myself, one of these days I'm gonna be sitting on a beach in Spain or somewhere, and I'm gonna have a book in my hand. I'm gonna have some café con leche on the left hand, and I'm gonna be chilling, hearing Spanish chatter in the background. I know it. And I just like sit there and just like thought about it. And like 2-3 years later, that's exactly what was happening. And yeah, it was wild. And then, all right, finally you gotta come back, right? You gotta come back home. So I came back, and that's when I moved to Tulsa. And then I knew that I wanted to finish my degree in international business, but I did not want to live in Stillwater. But I wanted to graduate from a good, it's a Stillwater, a Division 12, right?
D1.
D1, yes. It's a D1 school.
Big 12, D1.
Yeah. So I wanted to get it from there, just whatever. And I did, and came back, and I took Bob, big orange bus. I took Bob for 2 years straight to Stillwater.
Oh, shit. I think you told me that.
I did that for 2 years straight. So I lived here in Tulsa, and then I just took Bob to Stillwater. It was like, so school was just a full-time job for me, and I just did
free
it.
Though, right?
Eh?
Free?
No. Oh, the bus was a part of my tuition.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's all in there. I'm still with that debt, but you just told me I need to check in what Biden did. But
yeah,
so
they're working on it.
And I kind of want to wrap this. I want to be mindful of your time, but like what's so cool is that happened.
Yeah, we can close a little bit and have another one too.
So what happened was that it took me I remember one of the advisors was like, hey, it's gonna take you 3 years to get your and you finish your degree. I was like, no, it's not. I need 2 years. Do it in 2 years. And he didn't help me out. I picked another advisor because he wasn't working with me. I took 16 hours the first semester, 16 hours the next semester. I took a full summer. I took 18, and then I took 22.
Jesus Christ. Sounds so awful.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I loved it. I mean, whatever.
I did like a sharp 12 to 15.
Six
on the summer.
I took intercessions. I took.
Oh, yeah. I did some intercessions.
You know what I'm saying? I knocked them out.
Yeah.
You know, so anyways, so here we are. 2 years later, they do the audit to see whether I qualify for graduation. I do. And then here I am walking across the stage with a degree in international business while the old dude is watching me walk.
Dang.
And I mean, like, there was like no words to say to one another. I just saw him, he saw me. My family was there too and everything, but like, that's one human can really impact your life more than you can even imagine. People are so powerful.
Yeah.
And so, and then not that much longer, I get hired onto this international corporation and I meet your ass. You know, and so that's just like, you know, just to kind of wrap it up.
How soon after graduation did you start working there?
So I graduated in May. I did some odd jobs for a while. Then I went on board on like, so hold on. I traveled for a while after my undergrad. So I was like in California. I did some things. So the whole summer I didn't work. Well, I didn't have a stable job. I just odd jobs. And then maybe September or August when I got the job. You came on board when?
January of 14, I think. Does that sound accurate?
I would say so.
Because I graduated college December of 13.
Okay.
And I had a pretty quick turnaround. That was the goal.
Got you. It took me a little bit to get the job though. Like, yeah. I didn't have any. What got me the job was the fact that yo hablo español, and the fact that I got that degree. And so, and then, you know what was crazy is when they did the background check, I was sitting at a coffee house, I was chewing on my nails, man. I was like, is this gonna work? Yeah. And I clicked the button to like enter my information. And it was like, all right, your background check is completed and we'll notify you. And then I got the phone call and they're like, hey, your background check is okay.
And too good to be true again.
I was like I was like stressed out for 3 to 4 days. I was just stressed complete. Like, I was like, is this going to happen? Is this going to work out? And then I got.
Have you had major issues with other employers since?
Never.
So is that because your stuff got erased or
it's not erased.
Not erased, like, but like
it's just not. I'm not a felon,
right?
You know, which was great. And I got a gun, and you know, I do vote when I want to, but I haven't in many years. So, but yeah, like it's crazy. It was a complete like insecurity that I had forever, and then
yeah, I mean that's natural,
right? And so, but the fact that it just
plus there's nothing wrong with working fast food or working at a restaurant, but the fact that you even tried to get those and they were like, no, it's like you said, you're like, well, shit, what can I do?
No, yeah, exactly.
You know, at this point, I'm really just trying to like put food on the table or like put a little money in my wallet, like.
Yeah, and that's where it pains me to know that you can do the crime. So if you do the crime, you do the time, but you're still ostracized. You're still not allowed to come back into society, and that's
the slate's not clean.
That your slate, you have a stamp, and that stamp is like embroidered on you, and you can't get rid of it. And so, and you wonder why you have a population of misfits that just can't get their shit straight. But it's not that. It's just like the system is so. The odds are against you. Not everybody has the ability to find people to help them out. Not everybody has the ability to I don't know what, like, once again, what did I tell you? I'm lucky, and
I think you had good people
and had
that came
people.
across your path, and then you had some visions, some dreams, some drive, and then you also, you weren't too far deep, right? Like you weren't in a gang, you weren't with these people, you didn't buy into it. You're like, yeah, this is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So maybe you were smart without having a lot of book education, where some of those guys maybe they didn't, or maybe they just didn't care, or maybe they felt like they needed to be a part of something. But I say it all the time in humor or satire, and I guess from a, I don't know what what they say, a privileged standpoint, but when you drive out into the ghetto areas of Tulsa, mind you, I was, like I said, I say, man, if I lived out here, I would be into some shit too.
Yeah.
There's nothing out here.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't have good parents or good friends or a good mentor, yeah, there's nothing to do here.
Yeah.
So probably gonna find some trouble, or if other people around me are kind of getting into it and I don't have anyone to look up to, nowhere to go, no activities. I mean, can you blame somebody? You're just kind of a big believer that you're usually a product of your environment.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. However, though, I've come to this conclusion though, like being a product in your environment at one point in time though, that can be this is kind of harsh, but like I'm sorry that I'm not sorry about it. I've come to this realization that being a product in your environment is an excuse after a while.
It is.
And that's the thing that like there's a moment in your life where you come to like a crossroads where you're gonna like, are you gonna keep doing the same nonsense? And like this is the one thing I remember. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's it. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so, like honestly, like it's kind of, I felt kind of pathetic that it took so many goddamn times for me to get straightened out. Like, come on, Eric. How many times did you need to get hit upside the head to come corrected?
And then the product of the environment thing too. When I say that, doesn't mean hey, if you grew up in the ghetto, like you got to stay in the ghetto and you're going to be in there. Just means like you're at a huge disadvantage and you really got to pull yourself out, and you're going to have people trying to pull you back in. You got to be a lot more driven. And
Absolutely.
You may not have all the resources that someone else does, which doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like if you're trying to eat healthy, but you keep, Reese's cups in your fridge. Like the more you have them, they're just going to be easier to pull.
Absolutely. No, you're right. It's hard. Yeah. Once again, like, at one point in time, I just knew better. But then again, like, I met some people that were at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Once again, it comes down to luck. And I don't know. I'm so curious. Like, how many people that went through that are doing okay? And I don't care whether you're a plumber right now and you went and got locked up like I did, or I don't know. I don't care. Like, if you're some sort of teacher right now, or like whatever you're doing, and you're like, how many people went through the system? Like, I'm curious about the exception to the rule, because typically we operate in generalities. That's where you get the data, right? Like most people who are a fan and they go to prison tend to come back, right? I'm curious, how many are there? How many exceptions to the rules are there? Because I feel like I'm one in this case, and like,
sure,
like I like to hear those stories, and once in a blue moon, I'll come across one of those guys.
Well, I think that as we maybe kind of close here, just because we've been at it for a while,
Yeah,
in good talk too.
No, you're right.
And this is why I told you I wanted to have you on, is because I think it flows organically, and was it easy to talk? I mean,
I kind of forgot this mic was in front of me.
I told you, man.
I forgot.
Think
Yeah.
it's not like I said. There's no questions that you have to answer. Or this isn't a YouTube interview. But anyways, I think it's why it's cool that you talk about it, man. Because I don't know, maybe there's someone else out there that's like, whoa, this guy really do a year, and some more time in a year only in prison. Did he do all these other times in boot camp and juvie and all that? And then he went to freaking Oklahoma State and then got a job. maybe a little light at the end of the tunnel, or like you said, maybe you could be that mentor. Maybe
Right.
I don't know. Maybe
No.
that's one of your ways of paying it forward, or maybe
No.
you save someone from
I love
going
that.
to where you did.
No, I love that, and that is literally my duty now. That is my duty right now, to pay it forward. Like, I gotta serve my people.
I don't die on many hills, and it's not one I have died on either. But I'm with you, man. I think pending a couple of things and circumstances, most prison jail sentences, isn't that the point, to go in and be like, I did wrong, you did wrong, I'm out, give me a start. Like I said, I'm not going to bat for maybe the chomos, as you call them, or the
Right.
If you murder someone, that's murder, right?
Right.
If you steal $45 from the car wash, probably wipe the slate clean, right?
Right.
And it sounds like yours has been for the most part, but you're also a rarity, as we've learned, probably.
Well, thank you.
Not many people are where you're at for whatever that reason may be. I think it just like misery loves company. You know what I mean? Like if you pull a couple of guys out and you're like, hey, you can't work here because you did this, and then you can't live at this apartment complex because you did this, and then whatever, maybe you can't work, yeah, and then you're like, oh well, here's where you got to live, and then maybe it's good to not group felons up like prison, right?
Right.
Maybe, and mind you, I've never done time, so maybe they're like, this guy's an idiot, he doesn't know about.
But no,
maybe when you
right.
take a group of people who've been rejected for upper opportunities, and they're sitting around and like, oh, I can only make $7 an hour, and can't even live on a good side of town. Then you're like, what am I gonna do? Like, oh, I'm gonna deal the drugs I used to deal,
Of course.
or I'm gonna bullshit around like I used to.
It's a cycle.
Yeah,
It's a sick, twisted cycle that occurs, and some people just don't have the wherewithal to get out.
that's why I'm a big component of when people are like, hey man, this guy, they're giving out free degrees in prison. They're letting them go to college. Like, that's our tax money. Yeah, it is. Mind you, it's not like these guys have a degree from Oklahoma State or, OU or TU or anything. It's not like they come out and they're like, I got a degree from TU, I'm going to go work down at the CPA firm. Like,
Exactly.
they may have the paper, but they're not going to get the jobs you want. Hell, the job market's competitive enough without a felony.
Yeah, preach.
You already got to shake some hands and, know somebody's uncle. And so that's what when people bring that up, I'm like, guys, I think you're misconstruing it, right?
No,
like, this degree is maybe we pay for this degree of our tax money, but they don't come back to prison and we pay them with our tax money. So
right.
Maybe this degree lets them make $12 an hour somewhere and make a decent living instead of going back to whatever they're doing. So,
at the end of the day, like, you're going to have to deal with those humans.
Yeah.
And those humans are going to be out in the world with you. And why not offer them skills, opportunities, and the most important thing, hope.
Yeah.
My God. And because like once you do that, you empower people and you give them, it's like it comes down to choices. Okay, I choose to be a productive member of society, and like, yeah, you gotta like,
the way you said that was incredible.
No, I appreciate that.
I've thought that, but I forgot it in the way you articulate it. You got a nonviolent offender or somebody who messed up, like I said, not one of the hot ones. Someone's take might be like, oh, they shouldn't have TVs, they shouldn't have computers, they should sit in a hole and rot. They did the time or they did the crime. It's not supposed to be paradise. I agree.
Right.
Guy who has 5 years or 4, 3 or 2, like you or whatever. When he gets out, like you said, he might be your neighbor. He might mow your lawn. He might be your waiter. Anything. I mean, he might be at the pool that you're at. He might be at the bar you're at. Do you want someone who's sat in a cell all day with people trying to kill him or beat him up, or you have no books to read, no nothing? or you want a guy who maybe learned a trade and was like, wait, I need to do something. So
exactly.
that's a great point that you said.
No, well, thank you. Yeah.
We're gonna pay for it one way
Or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely. No, but this was so much fun.
Man, I told you it would
Like,
be. I told you it would be.
Like, how what's the time?
We're right at about 3 hours. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the would be the longest one for sure. And I think this is why it's fun for me and for us.
Get it. I get it now.
I've talked to you can start right now?
No, like, I've never done a podcast. Have I thought about one? I'm like, sure, because everyone's thought about one because you see it everywhere. But I've like, this is so cool. I mean, at first I was like, oh, this is gonna be kind of cumbersome with this thing in front of me, whatever. No. This is, like I said, this eventually like got out of my vision. I'm looking at you, and
I've had some episodes that I really liked. I've had some that's like, it's okay. I used to get in this thing where I was like, I held my equipment for like a year and a half because I was like, I want like a little studio, and then I want it to be legit, and I want only like, top tier people and cool people. And
Sure.
then I kind of come down off my shelf and was like, okay, nothing starts like that.
gotcha.
Like even Joe, the biggest podcast in the world, started like in his basement with Joey Diaz.
I love that guy.
Yeah, mind you, that was 10 years ago. But like, the point is, he didn't get this $100 million Spotify deal day one. He's been doing it for a long time.
Which
but
is wild.
And then I guess to go back to it, it's easy because we're friends. It's easy to talk to. You have an interesting story you can articulate. I've had some. I'm not gonna name names, but had some episodes. I was like, I didn't love it, but I still had fun with it. It's good practice. Not everything's supposed to be a killer one.
Right.
And I've had, I try to get big guests. I really do. And it's not for, I guess, the fame of the clouds. I want to learn about them and whatnot. And they're people I admire. But some of my most listened to episodes have been like my friends.
Oh, really?
With an interesting story.
That's cool.
Or a funny story. That one of my top listens was my buddy Darrell. And just the way he portrayed, he's just a funny guy in general. Like we went to high school together. But he kind of got into some rough stuff and got into some drugs, went to rehab. But the way he tells his stories, I if you listen to it, I could never talk about it the way he does, because he kind of like, he has a sense of humor about it, and he like is open about it, not ashamed of it, more of just like I'm ashamed of it, but like I happened and I moved on from it, so I'm trying to see the good in it.
Right.
But the way he tells it is so funny, man.
I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to check it out.
And it helps if you like knew his personality, but truly, like, we were laughing at some stuff the whole time. We just laughed at that. But out of all the people I've had on, he's one of my top few listens.
Oh, that's cool.
And I never would have guessed it.
How long did you guys go?
I'd have to go look.
Gotcha.
I like to, I mean, if I can, I like to at least do an hour. I feel like.
Damn, we did 3.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's
Longest
wow.
one for sure. And people, I look at when people listen to it because it's kind of fun, but I can genuinely say I've never cared how many people listen to it or not.
Gotcha.
I was more focused on, was it fun or not? And like I mentioned, there's some that I was like, whatever. But then there's some that were super fun. So, and I think you can usually tell the difference in the ones that are good and not.
Yeah. This one went by, like, I can't believe this. It's what? It's 12:25.
Yeah.
You know, it's past my bedtime. You know that I wake up at 4.
I have a 19-month-old, so
okay.
I'm the same. I don't wake up at 4, but when he's ready to roll, he's ready to roll. So, well, dude, I appreciate it. Definitely have you come back on.
Absolutely, man.
I think it's cool just to talk about the shit you went through, and then the fact that, I don't know, most of those stories don't really end with like, hey, I went to college and like did something with myself. And I think probably the one thing I'll say before we go, I think it's cool that you haven't like settled down in one field, and I feel like I might be that way too. I feel like that's always we've kind of correlated is it's like, hey, if you don't like something, you didn't just stick it out because it paid the. You're ever growing and exploring. You're like, hey, this is okay, but it's like, I'm gonna try it again. You're not afraid to try new stuff.
Absolutely.
Or come back and be humbled per se, where like to some people they've got all these wants and needs and these obligations and payments. So they're like, man, I can't. I'd love to do this, but I can't make less than $80,000 because I have this and this and this.
Right.
Or, oh man, I'm the senior guy on the team. Like,
exactly.
I can't go back to school. Even though I would love to go back and play music so with that said, that's something I've always admired about you, is you're willing to try it again, and you're not just going to settle. You're like, man, like, try new things, see how it works. Maybe you haven't found your niche yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that only in work, because that's like what we focus on as Americans is work. Everyone's always looking for like the title.
Right.
And even as much as you're like, I could care less as long as I'm happy. It's just the culture. Like when you meet someone new, the first thing anyone says is like, oh, what do you do? It's like, do you even care? Or is that just the go-to question?
It's just the easy way to start, easy conversation starter. I can't recall whether it was the old dude that said this to you or one of the guys, the couple of dudes that kind of, were poured into me growing up. It might have been Jim Short. One guy goes, make all the mistakes by your 35. Make all of them. Like, get fired, date as many chicks as you want, make all of the mistakes, but by the time you're 35, figure it out and then stick to something. And I'm like, oh wow, like this, I don't know why he told me that. And I'm glad that I've kind of been doing that. I've been exploring. We can get into those the next time, but but like I haven't ladies, I'm single. And I plan to stay that way for at least a little bit, but I think that this is I kind of have this blueprint, and it's crazy because I've thought about this like 10 years ago, but I just haven't been implementing it. But now I'm getting there, and like I said, the big thing is my duty. I gotta pay it forward, and I think I know now more than ever that I need to be of service to people, and so I look forward in this new chapter in my life, which we can go in. We can go deeper next time, and so. But like, I needed all those sequence of events were necessary in order to get me to here. And I am so happy that I can live with the consequences of my past. That's the thing. Other people just can't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. We'll talk about work next time for sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
For now, tell everyone where they can find you. I'll put your tags on there too, but.
You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at GYS Wellness. Get you some wellness. You just go look on there, and you'll kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to do. And then I got Facebook, but I don't use it. But I am building a website.
I think you're like the real Liver King.
What is it? Oh, the Liver King, that guy.
Liver King? Yeah, you're like a
guy.
Real, genuine leather king. Excuse me.
Yeah, I've seen that guy online.
Like natural, doing the shit, not just like a mock. So
no, that's what's up. I take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to have the website already ready to go, and I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I gotta within time.
Don't rush it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm being really methodical because I'm doing this for a while. Whatever I'm doing right now is going to be for the next, what is it? It takes 5 years to know whether or not your business is going to last in America. So I got 5 years.
It's primal time.
Exactly. So.
And we're going to Bill Burr Thursday. So.
Oh gosh. Once again, Thank you so much.
Mom and Dad, thanks.
Thank you, parents, because I now get the luxury to go see Bill Burr with the homie. That's dude. That's such an incredible gift. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, likes Bill Burr. because you never know. And I knew you liked some comedy, but then I was thinking, next Thursday you working? You're like, you're good after work. So I was like, shit, let's go.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad can't make it. Gave me the tickets. Like, hey, don't worry about paying them. Just go. So I was like, let's do it.
I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure. And till next time.
All right, man. Till next time. Take care.